Wrestling fans around the corner, around the world, I'm Dan Marty.
And this is your boy JTG, a.k.a. Jay the God.
Whether you are down the street or anywhere in the Northeast, fans, the day has finally come as we prepare to celebrate 20 years of Boston Wrestling MWF. All-inclusive VIP packages and tickets are on sale for our Back to the 80s WrestleFest 20th anniversary. It is going to be a VIP exclusive Q&A with the great 80s legends, an autograph and photo fan fest, and professional wrestling so hot it's going to blow the roof off of Memorial Hall. You can get your tickets at Boston Wrestling beginning in 3, 2, 1, go.
Wrestling fans, it's time to rock. WWE legend Marty Jannetty of the Rockers returns for 3 big nights, Wednesday, September the 1st through Friday, September the 3rd. Marty will be taping historical Wrestling Insider episodes, live specials, Insider autograph signings, support wrestling superstars, pre-order autographed 8x10s now over at bostonwrestling.com. This September, get your sunglasses ready. It's time to party with Marty.
This is Mick Foley.
This is Harley Race.
This is Shelton Benjamin.
This is Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff.
This is the Monster Abyss.
And this is Daniel Bryan.
This is JBL, and you're watching the MWF.
Be there live.
Wrestling fans around the corner, around the world, welcome to the August 7th, 2021 edition of Wrestling Insiders Week in Review. I'm either your favorite or maybe least favorite mouthpiece, Dan Marty, here at MWF Studios in downtown Melrose, Massachusetts, the zip code of champion 02176. It's a hot, humid one in Boston today as I tape this episode for you. I hope all is well wherever you may be. We thank you for joining us on a slightly modified version this week. If you're unfamiliar with Week in Review, the concept is simple. With your busy lives, we aim to bring you one-stop shopping for all of our weeknight shoots in one episode where you can sit back, listen to it like a podcast, have us open on the computer while you do other busy work around the house, however it works best for you. It's all about you. It's a supersized episode that runs several hours where we talk 80s, 90s, and even current events wrestling. Always enjoy the conversation in the live premiere chat, or if you're not watching with us live during the premiere, in the comments section below. Like any classy, high-quality human being, don't forget to tip the bartender. 4 hours of fun tonight using the Super Chat button. It's the little gray dollar symbol under the premiere chat box. Every dollar raised helps us bring you more superstars and legends sooner. So much to talk about, so little time. Well, I don't know if that's necessarily true. We really don't have any time constraints on the show, but hell, I might even have to start doing my own podcast like the rest of the world. Who knows? This week's episode only includes 4 full-length shoots as John Cena Sr. wraps up his summer vacation tour de force with Marjo Ouellette of Ms. and Mrs. Fame. Johnny was unable to get reception again on the tropical island that the two of them were on. Johnny will be back in studio this week, taping episodes of Wrestling Insider's Fabulous Friday, so we'll be back to normal this coming Friday the 13th. When after SmackDown, John Cena Sr. goes head-to-head with the premiere of AEW Rampage on TNT. To me, that's very interesting to see what the numbers are going to look like with one of our talk shows premiering head-to-head with the first-run wrestling show. Is it going to be a disaster? Could it be something interesting for the fans to have on in the background during the wrestling show itself? So I look forward to see the end result. I hope it doesn't mean we have to tinker with the schedule again, because I'm liking that everything now is kind of synergized at 10 p.m. except for, the Monday night program, obviously. And we like to go a little earlier with Week in Review, where the show would end at 3 or 4 in the morning if we started at 10 p.m. Nonetheless, we shall see. Before we begin, fans, we have to discuss the big news of the week with you. Discounted, all-inclusive VIP packages and tickets to our 20th anniversary, Back to the 80s WrestleFest, Saturday night, November the 13th, at Memorial Hall in Melrose, Massachusetts, are on sale now at the BostonWrestling.com super site. What an awesome day we had yesterday with them going back on sale, well, for the second time. If you remember, this event was originally going to take place in April of 2020 before the virus took over the world. Very pleased and happy with the reaction, but we literally have to keep it up each and every day headed into the event in November to cover those bills. It's not cheap to put together an event like this, trying to bring you 8 80s legends, along with the hungry young athletes of yesterday, today, and tomorrow competing in that squared circle. We're talking about a first-class venue like Memorial Hall that's breaking balls like you couldn't believe. That's a different story. We may be talking about it a different time, believe me. All the advertising costs that go into it, the ring rental, the printing, the advertising. My God, the advertising money we wasted the first go-around that we had to flush down the toilet that obviously we weren't going to get refunded for. The good news is, if this event is as successful as it looks to be on paper, at least in the early days, President Reese has greenlit a Back to the 90s event in early 2020. Our 80s reunion also kicks off our annual Paul Bearer Holiday Headlocks Toy Drive on November the 13th. We're going to have a live in-person effort in Melrose at the 80s reunion, as well as online efforts for fans that can't be with us in Melrose throughout the month of December. It looks like the toy drive is going to coincide with our Wrestle House 2 in Tampa, which was not an Indiegogo success, along with Glantz Gate when it comes to the stolen equipment. But you can find the link to the Back to the 80s VIP packages and tickets in the blue bar at the top of the Premier Chat if you're watching with us live, or in the description box below. Check it out. It is the best value in professional wrestling. We want to create 800 smiles from ear to ear and just give you memories that you will not forget. Look at some of the perks that come with those VIP packages. You talk about instant credibility on social media with some of those posed photos. My dear God, folks, I would be driving Papa Marati nuts to take me to an event like this if I was a kid, but we hope to see you November the 13th live. I'd love to meet some of you guys in person. Fans, on a personal note real quick, I don't know if you are spiritual or religious, but if you are, instead of begging for attention on Facebook, which is not me, or to try and get you to feel bad, I would sincerely appreciate a few positive thoughts sent my way. August 5th was the 16th anniversary of the drunk driver a car crash that blew up myself, the Iron Sheik, and Commissioner Von Johnson, that ruined this poor body. Then last year in 2020, I had a disaster of a personal day on August 6th, where I kind of took one for the team, so to speak, took a bullet. And then the next day, August 7th, which is today, 1 year ago today, it began a roller coaster of personal turmoil like you wouldn't believe. Today, I do not feel like my chipper self on the inside. I am not as happy-go-lucky as I am as I talk into this microphone. There is maybe even a deep sadness right now inside of me. I'm being honest and open here. This is almost like Dr. Phil instead of having Dr. Reese with us. But, just a tough day I've been thinking about all week. As my eyes opened for the first time today, it was the first thing on my mind. And we all have days like that, things in life that bring back memories and so on. If you're having a day like that too, I send you positive thoughts for better hours ahead tonight and better days ahead in the immediate future. And if you could send some back this way, I would appreciate it. I am happy that the exhausting marathon 2 weeks I've had here at the studio are over, working as many as 14 hours a day to produce for you guys. Today, I am on my 43rd consecutive day here at the studio. I really am nuts. I have lost my mind, and I have virtually have no life. I shouldn't say that. I got the two best kids in the world and the little Maratis in my realm, but you know what? I don't get to spend the time with them I'd like to because of all the work that goes on here. Even though I'm on my 43rd consecutive day here, I still got a ways to go to reach the 71 consecutive days I did when we returned from Tampa from WrestleMania week to late June. And for some reason, it feels like I'm getting less done. We've stopped doing the review shows of Raw and SmackDown and so on, and I'd like to get back to doing those again this fall. That remains to be seen. I'd like to get more help. Imagine that, more help. Work I don't have to do. Pass the baton. Who's sticking out the hand? What about our new friend Adam Lou that has joined the Boston Wrestling Sports family? He's been a great help with some great suggestions, along with Howard Miller, Jackie the Joke Man, John C. Who else am I forgetting? I know I'm forgetting a lot of people, so I'm going to cut it off there. But you know, we do have a great staff, but it's just when it comes to some things, I am very hands-on, maybe too hands-on for my own good. That's a different story for a different time. When it comes to Wrestling Insiders, folks, for these great talk shows, we need our Wrestling Insider warriors to be loud and to be proud online. Give this video a big Hacksaw Jim Duggan-like thumbs up if you're enjoying it, and if you haven't already, subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's absolutely free, and it alerts you to all of our great premieres. Share the video across social media with your friends and fellow fans, and very important, share your opinion in the premiere chat, or if you're not watching with us live, in the comments section below. We want to know what you think about the topics we're discussing. We want to know what you think about the hosts. We want to know what you think about the platform. We want to know what you would think about everything. Oh my God, you should see the guy driving down Main Street in Melrose. Dear Lord, he really thinks it's summertime. Top down, shirt off, doing about 45 on Main Street in Melrose. Dear Lord. Unbelievable, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, all of these things are very important when it comes to growing these great talk shows. Millions of fans left wrestling during the 80s boom, millions more left after the Attitude Era, but I truly believe that once fans of those generations find these talk shows that we produce, they're going to love them. And that means we're going to have new fans, new friends, new family members. We're going to be able to do more live episodes. We're going to have more superstars in the studio, and it's just going to be a positive all around. But again, we can't do it without you. Believe it or not, as much as I work, I am only one person. You can only stretch a penny into a copper wire so long. You know what I mean? It was another busy week in the world of professional wrestling. Let's kick off Wrestling Insiders Week in Review podcast style with Oscar of Men on a Mission's Monday Night Mission, where the former tag team champion manager shoots on The Fiend Bray Wyatt's shocking release, top matches at SummerSlam, WWE.com's list of top 50 tag teams, where Men on a Mission didn't exactly make the list, AEW's Chicago Invasion, and more. WWF Tag Team Championship manager of Men on a Mission, the one, the only, the man that nearly blew the roof off of MSG at WrestleMania 10 in arenas around the country and around the globe. We're talking about the O, the S, the C, the A, the R, the Vice President of Boston Wrestling MWF, the sidekick of Dr. David Reese. We're talking about Oscar.
What's up, man?
How you doing, brother? Long time no speak. Well, technically 7 days, but it feels like it's been a while. It was a long week last week.
It's the first of the month.
Well, the second of the month, but you know what? Who's counting on the calendar? We love to follow Monday Night Raw. It's always an interesting program right now. Goldberg is back as they prepare to head into a pretty big endeavor at SummerSlam. Not going to be a full stadium show. They're not going to open up everything in Las Vegas for the event, but they're still planning on, right around 45,000 fans potentially to be there for the big event. Your thoughts as we're seeing a few guest appearances by Goldberg as he prepares for war with Bobby Lashley at SummerSlam?
Yeah, but see, I like it when it's when the fans have to guess the outcome. I mean, there's really no way that there's no way Goldberg can pull this off. And the reason why I say that is because unless he is prepared to sign at least a Lesnar type deal where he shows up at major TV and pay-per-view events to defend the title, that's the only way that Bobby Lashley can drop it to him. So, I mean, it'll put asses in seats. I mean, that's a good thing. But him losing is, to me, it seems like it has to be a foregone conclusion, unless something has happened that I don't know about, that I'm not aware of, that he has, decided that, he needs the money or the exposure or whatever. they reach some kind of lucrative situation where he's going to come back to defend the title at WrestleMania or this, that, and the other. But other than that, I mean, I don't see how this is not, stacked up in Lashley's favor.
I tell you, it's just kind of, I don't know. Goldberg, we know he's in for 2 matches every year, at least through the end of 2022. Like you said, though, anything can happen in WWE. They could choose to maybe try and work out more dates with him. But like we saw at Royal Rumble when he was pretty much decimated by Drew McIntyre in short order in that championship encounter, I think it's going to be Bobby going over 1, 2, 3. I think the big money match on the table is the one they're going to save, knock on wood, hopefully for to try and pack 102,000 fans back into AT&T Stadium in Dallas in April. The match I've wanted to see forever, Brock Lesnar and Bobby Lashley for that championship. I think that's a big money match, and to throw that away to give Goldberg another short-term run, to me, would be foolish.
Yeah, I mean, Lesnar has pretty much been running roughshod, even over top-tier talent, over the years. And I think that Bobby Lashley got the tools to where they can fashion a match to where it's more equally grounded and, it has some drama and substance to it. And if Lashley were to win, then it's believable.
Well, the one thing I'll say about Goldberg is it may not be the Goldberg in 1998, but even at his age, I mean, no matter what the age, he's in phenomenal physical condition. He may not be as thick, but he's still got that badass look that, I wish the majority of the WWE roster had each and every week.
Yeah, but see, the thing is, it's not Goldberg's age, young or old, or, even whether he got the chops to do half the things in the ring he used to. It's about sadly, the economics of it. It's about whether or not, like I said earlier, Goldberg can fulfill a contract to defend that title, because that title needs to be defended.
Sure, absolutely.
It don't need to go on somebody that's just going to show up when there's an amazing hefty payday. I mean, the title is, the bread and butter of the storylines of the company. So that being said, it has to be on an individual that can show up every week or at least once a month, at the very least, to, put that situation in play.
Well, everybody knows I'm a Bobby Lashley guy. We had him here several times in Boston Wrestling MWF. Hell of an athlete, hell of a human being. I even remember spending one of my birthdays with him after one of our live events at a Hooters watching a UFC event, as he has his MMA background as well. I think it'll be a pretty easy pick to go with Lashley at SummerSlam, but like you said, stranger things have happened. Look at what happened in Saudi Arabia back in February of 2020, right before the virus hit, when Goldberg walked away with the Universal Championship, defeating The Fiend, which was, again, a mind-boggling decision. We're going to talk a lot about The Fiend in this episode, but it just shows, they could get creative and try and get cute, but I don't think Lashley is the guy to try and get creative and cute with. I think Lashley should kick ass and take no prisoners until he finally gets to Lesnar, in my opinion.
Yeah, but what you do have to understand is, an empire must fall. So that being said, Lashley is not a Hulk Hogan. He's not a Sting. And he's not he's not a Bob Backlund. I'll say that because he's not the somebody I envision that you could put the title on and he keep it for 10 years straight. And it makes sense. So,
well, do you at least see him holding it through WrestleMania?
I would hope so.
Yeah.
But like I said, him going against Goldberg, anything can happen because I don't know the ins and outs of Goldberg's deal.
Yeah.
And fans, that's what it depends on.
As I know it to be, he signed, I believe it was a 5-year contract for 2 matches per year through the end of 2022. So this would be his second match in 2021. He worked Drew McIntyre at Royal Rumble, so this would be the second match. But, any contract can be extended at any time for the right amount of dollars and the right creative.
Unless there was some kind of viable extension, then if this is the last match, then no, he's not. There's no way.
Well, it'll be interesting to see in 2022 if he decides not to extend the deal. Would WWE do a retirement match type angle with Goldberg to finish him out?
If he doesn't win this one, a retirement match could happen. It certainly would make sense. But if he doesn't win this one, then I don't see I don't see the sense of bringing him back in any situation.
You wouldn't bring back Goldberg at all if he doesn't win at SummerSlam.
If he did not make a deal to make this happen for himself, and then he goes over and get his ass kicked by Bobby Lashley, what the hell am I bringing him back in 2022 to do?
Oh, you and John Cena crack me up when it comes to Goldberg, but you know what? I guess that's part of the fun of the show. On the SmackDown side, they did get, as we mentioned the word, a little cute. It looked like Finn Balor was going to be the man to challenge Roman Reigns at SummerSlam. They had a little contract signing set up.
Well, I could have told you that.
Well, I mean, everybody knew.
Matter of fact, I did tell you that. I said no. Finn Balor, no. I said it's got to be Cena. Don't you remember me telling you that last week?
I absolutely remember you telling me that. I knew from people within the organization that it was going to wind up being Cena, but I thought they were creative in the way they did it. I think there were a lot of fans that may have thought, geez, maybe Finn is going to get a championship match, or maybe this will turn into a triple threat match or something along those lines.
It was going to be, at the very least, I'm pretty sure it was discussed, but there was no way Cena is back on TV and being kept out of the SummerSlam equation in a major way.
Right. It would have been a waste to do anything otherwise.
Exactly.
But you know what? I thought, like I said, I thought it was creative. It looked like Finn was going to put his name on the dotted line. Baron Corbin got involved, looking homeless and pretty ragged. And then Cena ran out and said, you know what, the hell with it. I'll sign it. The one thing I find interesting, and I think we're going to see play out on SmackDown television over the next few weeks, is that it was a contract that stated Roman Reigns, Finn Balor for SummerSlam. John Cena only signed his name to it. It was never included in the quote-unquote legally binding contract. Let's see if that plays out on TV. Maybe we'll get a great John Cena and Finn Balor match on SmackDown. I'd really like to see that.
I think they're gonna see if that one can skate right by our heads. That's the way they do stuff.
I'd like to see Finn come out all pissed and say, you know what, my name was on the contract, you basically stole it, and then the powers that be in WWE make a SmackDown match between Cena and Balor, and the winner gets Roman at SummerSlam.
Finn Balor's not done by no means when it comes down to this story. I mean, he's gonna get, there's gonna be something included, like I agree with you, probably on SmackDown, but I would throw him a SummerSlam bone. I mean, like I said, I wish he hadn't have got involved in this. Like I said, I would love to have seen him build, but I mean, that ship has sailed. He's already there.
Well, they got a lot of pay-per-views coming up after SummerSlam, so there'll be ample opportunity for him.
Yeah, he's definitely gonna be in the mix in a major way. Hopefully, they'll tease his situation and put him in some. But then again, it's not too late. Because of, like you said, they can bring up the legalese of the contract. So it's not too late to throw him in the mix and make a triple threat match. Matter of fact, a triple threat match with him involved will even be more exciting than a straight up one-on-one between Cena and Roman Reigns.
I don't think they'll go that direction simply because at WrestleMania Roman did a triple threat match. I think that would almost be overdoing triple threat matches with Roman on pay-per-view.
Since when do we not overdo things?
Well, it is WWE after all, but I'm you know me. I like the straight-out singles match. I think it once in a blue moon.
I know you like it, but
if there's a reason to build up
because-
to a triple threat match, okay, shoot the triple threat match. At WrestleMania, even that was kind of I would have rather have seen Edge and Roman one-on-one, but they wanted to get Daniel Bryan in before he left for whatever reason.
Just because there was one at WrestleMania. Okay, how many months ago was WrestleMania?
It was only 4 months ago, Oscar. It's not like we're talking about war and peace here, baby.
All right, it was 4 months ago. Yeah, it's been enough time. So we ready to eat. It's like steak. If I have steak on Monday, I don't want it again till maybe the following Friday, and it's gonna be good to me. It's just like that concept. You know, maybe they feel like, okay, it's been enough time since WrestleMania. It's Finn Balor. It ain't the same thing, so we can go ahead and a three-way match will go over. Which, as a matter of more I think about it, I'll be willing to put my money on. That's exactly probably what it's going to be.
Well, you know what I find interesting, Oscar, through the grapevine, John Cena is extending his stay. Originally, SummerSlam was going to be his last night, but he's going to be around at least through the SmackDown at Madison Square Garden on Friday, September the 10th. Could WWE pull a little swerve and take the title off the head of the table for just a little bit? I certainly would not do that. I would keep Roman as hot can be, but ... it could make for a short-term interesting scenario to try and boost those television ratings to put the title on Cena.
That was gonna be my next point. If John Cena extended his stay and was gonna make more appearances, that I would expect him to get the belt at SummerSlam, no doubt.
Well, you're only talking a couple of weeks, and then he's going to be gone again. I don't know.
By September 10th, though, he could very well drop the belt back or drop it somewhere else. Or
maybe in the Garden. Wouldn't that be something? In the Garden.
Yeah, no, that would be,
poetic justice, maybe.
The Garden, I don't know. The Garden, no matter what night you're there, under what circumstances, just being at the Garden is tantamount to any pay-per-view you put on television.
I love the Garden. You know what? I could go to the Garden. I wouldn't want to age myself too much, but sometimes I wish I was another 10 or 15 years older, to the point where I was old enough where I could have gone to those great Madison Square Garden house shows every 3 weeks. And you were around during that period of time. I think they ran every 3 weeks up until, was it 92, 93-ish? I mean, that would talk about just the venue when it comes to the history of that organization. It's a shame they had to stop running there for so many years.
Oh, I remember the first time that I was at the Garden. I was so ecstatic because that was the place that I went to as a fan to go see wrestling. And then, oh my God, just to go through those doors with the fans outside, but I'm not a fan with a pen and paper. I'm actually a talent going in, signing the autographs then. I remember getting an autograph from Bob Backlund. I remember getting one from Mil Mascaras, and then to be Oscar, and I'm actually signing the autographs for the kids and going into the Madison Square Garden locker room, which was real small. The room we were in the first time anyway, it was real small. I'm like, where are the couches and the champagne? And,
wasn't what you thought, huh?
Yeah, the strawberries and the butlers and this is Madison Square Garden, damn it. But short of that, no, wait a minute. No. I'll take that back. Later in the evening, in Vince's office and outside, there was there was a buffet. And now, let me take that back. They started getting it together later on as night started to approach. There was a buffet. I remember the baked ziti because I remember Vince having a big spoon. And that man could eat. That's one thing about
the baked ziti at MSG.
I enjoyed the baked ziti, and I can't remember what else it was, but it was about 8 big cloches of food
Well,
and some real plates.
You didn't have to worry about taking a draw that night. You ate well at the Garden.
I got a draw too. Yeah, that's just because I ate.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
That's right. Those were during your pimping days when you were laying the pipe down, no matter where you were.
I had to get a room so I could,
To lay the pipe.
Oscar's pieces. So
Well, all right. That was before you knew, David.
I had to get a nice hotel.
Well, Reese has spent a lot of time in New York City. Who knows how many of the pieces have had pieces of their own, so to speak, that David doesn't know about.
Yeah, well,
It could be a whole bag of candy that he doesn't even know about yet. The poor guy.
I feel guilty because I don't even think he picked up the pieces habit till he met me.
Really, you think you turned David Reese into a pimp?
Yeah, I think I influenced the situation.
Really? Well, maybe he needed it. You know what, David Reese? I think it's safe to say he's past the halftime mark of life. We want him to enjoy himself. You know what I mean?
He needed because he's one of the most uptight individuals. God love him. But I love him. He's one of the most uptight individuals I ever met.
Well, he's been a great president here in Boston Wrestling. It would be interesting to see if David Reese had Nick Khan's job in WWE, what would be of the Fiend Bray Wyatt right now? We discussed it last night on Wrestling Insider's Stern But Fair, but the news broke that I would think other than Roman Reigns, maybe the most untouchable guy on the roster was beheaded and got the axe. The Fiend Bray Wyatt released from WWE. If for whatever reason you haven't heard the news yet, mind-blowing to me. I'm going to get your opinion first because you are the host with the most on this show, and then I'll share my thoughts.
There are things that happen that I can't believe. I mean, I can see his brother Bo Dallas going. I mean, what did he do? Nothing. But the Fiend was like an iconic character coming into his own, and he headlined most of the pay-per-views. Said or not said, to be fair to the other people. He put on some of the best matches that there was. Every character he had, from him in the rocking chair to him being a Fiend, was very engaging and entertaining. And he hasn't been on TV in a long time. I thought they would bring him back or repackage him again, and definitely bring him back because he was a top tier talent, cutting promos and his in ring work. So yeah, I'm real shocked. My guess is his contract was up and he wanted to go. I don't think I don't see them, and I'm inclined to believe that they did everything they can to make him stay. I don't incline it was on their side of it that they kicked him out. I couldn't see it. It doesn't make philosophical sense, and it certainly doesn't make business sense. Good business sense.
Well, we've seen a lot of awkward business moves made. One that I really hadn't thought about was maybe the contract was coming due within a few months, and they said, you know what, at the rate we're paying him right now, maybe it's not worth it. He has, other than that one match he had at WrestleMania 37, he hasn't done anything since December when Randy Orton lit him on fire with the TLC pay-per-view. Even before that, before the Fiend Bray Wyatt character was developed, they kind of iced him for quite a while. They decimated that character when he was the Bray Wyatt in the rocking chair, when they aligned him with a broken Matt Hardy, who just should be deleted from WWE history. That gimmick was so bad. But, he's had a lot of off time. I'm sure he was paid handsomely with his downside guarantee during all of that downtime. But at the same time, the number one merchandise mover last year, one of the few characters and superstars that was truly over on the roster. Again, I say other than Roman Reigns, I would have thought maybe the most untouchable guy on the roster just due to his age and how over he was. really blown away by that. I think as a WWE stockholder, I think it's a bad move. As someone that works in wrestling, I think it's a bad move. And as someone that just generally enjoys pro wrestling, I think it's a bad move. I hate the Mr. Rogers version of Bray Wyatt, but as The Fiend, I really enjoyed his work as kind of a dark character. Really a sad day overall. You know, you could see a lot of talent who was disappointed on social media. But you know what? We're only going by the internet and social media headline, Oscar. We weren't in Titan Towers when this decision was made.
No, we wasn't.
You know, you can hear rumors about budget cuts, but you know what? There are, and you were around for a lot of it in the 90s, there were steroid test failures that have been swept under the rug. There have been drug test failures that have been swept under the rug. I am not trying to insinuate at all that Bray Wyatt did anything like that, but things like that have happened in the history of the organization.
Let me tell you 2 words that I do not buy when it comes down to this company, and I'm going to tell you why. The word budget and cuts.
No kidding,
And
right?
I'm going to tell you why. When my tenure there during the early 90s was the worst financial time the company probably ever suffered, except for the beginning, you know, where Vince was really scrambling financially to make it happen. And once he got a foothold on it and got a handle on it financially, and the company flourished, if not, there was more than enough money by the beginning of the 90s in its reserves, for whatever that means, in order for them to float by and skate by and float on a cloud above any economic pressure that was going on in the country.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
As far as I know, they've only had 1 year where they lost money in the history of the organization. So they can't cry poor mouth too much.
So, but things were really bad during that time. I mean, really bad. I mean, the arenas were all but empty. And it was just.
It was a poor product at the time.
Yeah, it was just financially, you know. I mean, financially, the money coming in was, you know, but still in all, you know, the company did not have an appearance of hurting. So that being said, if they was able to weather that storm, you know, without Vince's credit card getting declined at Walmart, what makes me think that it's any worse now? I mean, probably even. I mean, I still believe the place is making money even during the pandemic.
Are you kidding me? They're making record profits they're making right now. That's what blows me away about some of these releases that are so needless on a show that's so boring and so lifeless, and you have so many many of the same characters seen over 3 or 4 times on the same show. There's no need for it.
As a stockholder, let me ask you this, because the fans won't really want to know. Now that they have instituted some of the live shows, don't some of the workers get to come back? Because I know a lot of layoffs and firings and temporary dismissals had to be because they didn't need them to work because there were no live shows. But live shows are back. So they need a handful of people to pull that off.
I still think they have plenty of talent. They're doing right. You know, things could change as time goes on, but right now I believe the weekend house shows are the quote-unquote super shows that include talent from both brands. So I don't think they have anything to worry about as trying to fill the house shows, you know, 7 or 8 matches. I don't think that's an issue at all. It's just, you know what? My mind was blown when you have a guy like Strowman, who ended WrestleMania 36 beating Goldberg for the Universal Championship axe. But he'd been around, you know, he's kind of limited in what he can do. But again, The Fiend, Bray Wyatt, one of the top merchandise movers in the company. What more does that need to tell you as far as how over he is? The people loved The Fiend, even if he was a villain. You're flushing a great talent, a great performer down the toilet. Now, I know, you know, I mentioned the hypothetical testings and whatnot that may have gone on. I was told WrestleMania weekend that he had been suffering a pretty deep depression. I know we talked a lot about that on last week's show. And again, right now they're only working 1 day a week. I would think, if he only had one match between this point and going all the way back to TLC in December, that pay-per-view, the one match he had with Randy Orton, you'd think that would be ample time to try and have any kind of medical situation addressed. Is that a good way to put it?
Well, yeah, it is. I mean, and see, and I hate to stay on this soapbox. He was on a depression. Reason why programs like Minute Equilibrium and support groups and hotlines were reason why they need to exist. I keep saying it.
I agree.
And I'll say it until the wheels fall off. These people go through things, and these things are not addressed, and nobody cares. Nobody lends a helping hand. And so, and then that speaks to the reason why he probably was released, because if he was going through a depression, what good was he going to be as a worker?
Well, geez, I mean, God, how many talents on that roster are probably depressed in some way, shape, or form? I can't speak to that, but just disappointing overall. I'm sure maybe more to the story will come out. I don't buy budget cuts for a second when the company is making record profits and they're bragging about record profits. Why take one of the guys that is part of the foundation that's making record profits for you and just get rid of them? It's just terrible decision.
Speaking about depression on the same vein, look at poor Simone Biles.
Yeah.
Hottest Olympian on the planet, and she had to bow out because she had a mental crackdown.
Yeah, she was overwhelmed.
I mean, so how loud you gotta say it? There needs to be something in place to help these people.
Well, I agree with you 110% on that, especially I can't speak for the pressure that goes into the Olympics, but I can speak to the pressure that, professional wrestlers go through in WWE. In any major league promotion. I'm just not going to narrow it down to WWE, but WWE is obviously the global phenomenon when it comes to the industry. I just hope that every possibility with The Fiend was exhausted before they came to this horrendous situation to eliminate him from the company. I mean, he is someone you'd think he's in his early 30s. He's been with the organization in some way, shape, or form, I believe 12 years. With the different incarnations he had. He was, going through developmental under different names. He was Husky Harris in NXT for a spell before they finally came up with Bray Wyatt and debuted him as that back in 2013. First, the rocking chair version of Bray Wyatt when you had that cool illumination of the arenas when everyone would hold up their cell phones when he came out to that song. Even Chairman Manolian of the Boston Wrestling MWF, who at this point in his life is probably a casual fan at best of national pro wrestling, he said when we were discussing the release, that was one of the coolest characters he had seen when he was rocking chair Bray Wyatt. I think they overexposed him. That was during a period when Raw and SmackDown were not different brands, so you had a lot of the same talent on both shows every week. So you had, not including pay-per-views, 104 opportunities to see Bray Wyatt on television every year. Then, like I said, they put the horrible pairing when they put him with Matt Hardy, who was not over in the least, trying to do delete, until he was finally deleted altogether. They iced him for a bit, and they brought him back as The Fiend. And The Fiend, to me, is someone I would put down what I was doing and watch what he was doing in ring. He was that interesting of a character to me.
The other fraction of the story is if I'm Tony Khan, I'm drooling in my soup right now.
Oh my God, are you kidding me? Absolutely. With all the talent that supposedly is already coming in, we're going to talk about that after the break. Imagine if they're able to land he can't be the Fiend, obviously. He can't have the mask. He can't be a Wyatt, but there's a lot of dark things you could do with Wyndham Rotundo on that television program. And if that's the route he goes, I look forward to see what he does in AEW. I'll tell you this, I'm sure the price tag would be awfully high, but
I don't think they care.
I'm talking about Boston Wrestling MWF.
No.
You don't want him.
No, it's not that I don't want them. I love to have them.
Oh, you'd love to have him.
I gotta go. You know what? Maybe I'm thinking about it wrong. You know better than me. You need to set up a meeting. We need to go over the books. Cause I don't know what we gotta do, guys.
Well, you and I, we need to do an episode coming up soon about the board of directors meeting. I don't know if you saw the episode that John Cena Sr. did on Friday night about the happenings here in Boston Wrestling MWF as we head into our 20th anniversary. I think you may find Mr. Cena's opinions and thoughts interesting. I will share that with you after we're done taping tonight. But fans, if you haven't heard the news, if you're not on Patreon, tickets to the big 20th anniversary, back to the 80s reunion, live in-ring wrestling and an 80s Legends Fan Fest, Saturday, November the 13th. Tickets go on sale to all fans this coming Friday, August the 6th. So those that have already packaged up their VIPs, they're ready to go. They're going to meet and greet with all these great legends before a hot night of action. But the remaining VIP packages and tickets will be on sale again this Friday, August the 6th. And with that said, Oscar, you know what? I wanted to go to a timeout, but I had one more WWE piece I wanted to touch with you, Oscar. Recently, WWE.com released its list of its 50 greatest tag teams in company
I don't want to
history.
talk about it.
And Men on a Mission was not listed.
Why? Why?
Well, they didn't ask my opinion, first of all. But would you like to go through the list?
No, I saw the list, and I don't care to revisit it. There's something going on that I don't know nothing about.
What do you think that means?
See, that's the thing. It's been a mystery to me for years. I feel blacklisted, but at the same time, I feel blue-listed. I feel blacklisted because they never call us to do nothing, but at the same time, they'll comp us tickets, and they'll do this, and they'll send us stuff when we have events, and also that's what's called a blue list. But as far as getting a serious invite to make an appearance at a SummerSlam or a WrestleMania or this or that, the other, that has not happened since I left. And now, and I didn't even see my name on the legends list, the alumni list. I didn't see my name on that. It might be there now. I haven't looked.
What alumni list are you talking about?
Well, WWE.com got an alumni page, and they list everybody.
Well, you don't want. I'm scanning through some of the tag teams right now, and I'm trying to see. You know what? Real quick, I don't want to anger you, but I'm interested to see your personal thoughts. Men on a Mission, thumbs up. Men on a Mission was more over than this team, or thumbs down? Men on a Mission belongs on the list before this team. We'll start backwards. Right. Number 50, the Bushwhackers.
The Bushwhackers were more over. The reason why I say that is because they had a lot more time in the game, and they were worldwide ambassadors since they left. So I will put them above us.
Grandmaster Sexay and Scotty Too Hotty Too Cool.
Simply because Grandmaster Sexay's father was Jerry Lawler. That's the only reason why I will put him in an above category.
And I think they were around during a hotter period, too.
Right.
Jacques and Pierre, the Quebecers.
Nah, we were way better than them.
The Smoking Guns.
Better.
Strike Force, Rick Martel and Tito Santana. You really think Men on a Mission was better than Strike Force?
Yeah, that's simply because, and that's not, but because their in-ring skills phenomenal. But as far as exciting the crowd and getting everybody on their feet and all that kind of stuff like that, Strike Force had don't hold a candle to us in that situation.
The Head Shrinkers.
I don't know. The Head Shrinkers are more iconic, so I'll call them better.
Kane and X-Pac.
Kane and X-Pac.
They didn't even team too long, but
yeah, no, as far as the tag team go, no, we were better.
Ric Flair and Batista.
Ric Flair, Batista. That was Ric Flair and Batista, so better.
Well, it was again a very short run.
But it was Ric Flair though.
Joey Mercury and John Morris and Eminem.
Just go next. I ain't even answer that.
Really, you're disgusted with Eminem.
Yeah, I'm not.
Brian Knobbs and Jerry Saggs, the Nasty Boys.
Oh well, nah, the Nasty Boys are one of the most iconic teams ever. So yeah, better.
Again, not a long run here, but Randy Orton and Edge.
It's Randy Orton and Edge, so better.
Paul London and Brian Kendrick.
Okay, next.
A team that's never competed in WWE, Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa.
Okay, see, now stop. Stop. How in the hell is that team on the top 50 list? And Men on a Mission is no matter of fact, go to break and we're going to kill this line of the interview right now because I feel myself really getting pissed.
All right, wrestling fans, right now we're going to take a brief timeout. You may not see The Fiend on WWE programming anymore, but that doesn't mean you can't add some great Fiend collectibles to your collection in our eBay store. Check it out.
Wrestling fans around the corner, around the world, I'm Dan Marty.
And I'm Mr. USA WWE Hall of Famer Tony Atlas.
The road to WrestleMania has begun. Wrestling fans are looking to add to their man caves. You got to see what we have in the eBay store.
Check it out.
Here's your chance to own a piece of history from the 2020 WWE Draft. On the second night, October the 12th, The Fiend, Bray Wyatt, and Alexa Bliss unleashed hell on Andrade and Zelina Vega. This limited edition 11x14 collector's poster is number 26 of only 50 made, personally signed by both The Fiend and Alexa Bliss, direct from friends at WWE. Comes with certificate of authenticity hologram on the poster itself, suitable for framing. You'll also receive a bonus autographed mystery photo and an on-air shout-out as our thanks to you. Get this ultra-rare autographed Fiend and Alexa Bliss poster now. The World Wrestling Federation was sold out at Madison Square Garden in New York, New York, Monday, August the 2nd, 1982. In the opening contest, women's champion, the fabulous Moolah and Leilani Kai, beat Vivian St. John and Peggy Lee. Johnny Rodz battled Pete Sanchez to a double disqualification. Tony Gurria drew Steve Travis. Salvatore Bellomo with the win over Jose Estrada. S.D. Jones defeated Swede Hansen. Polish Power Ivan Putski replacing Tony Atlas, victorious over WWF Tag Team Champion Mr. Saito. Then, Putski beat WWF Tag Team Champion Mr. Fuji via disqualification. Chief J and Jules Strongbow with the win over the Masked Demons. Superfly Jimmy Snuka defeated WWF Intercontinental Champion Pedro Morales via countout. In a Texas death match, Andre the Giant victorious over Blackjack Mulligan. And in the main event, the WWF World Champion Bob Backlund retained the title over Cowboy Bob Orton. If you were at MSG Live, share your memories in the comment section below. Use the links in the description box to keep Wrestling Legends working in our eBay store and on our world-renowned Patreon streaming service so we can bring you more interactive superstar shoot interviews to relive the good old days of professional wrestling. Check it out. Boston Wrestling Sports in the MWF explodes into a new year with professional wrestling content galore and need you to join our family. Every Tuesday night at 10 p.m. after our Monday Night Raw review, it's Wrestling Insiders at your house with WWE Hall of Famer Mr. USA Tony Atlas. Wednesday nights at 10 p.m. after NXT and AEW, join rotating legends on Wrestling Insiders Special Edition. Every Thursday night at 10 p.m. after our NXT and Dynamite review, it's Marty Jannetty's no-holds-barred sex, drugs, and rock and roll journey on Wrestling Insiders Party with Marty. Friday night after SmackDown, don't miss John Cena Sr.'s Wrestling Insiders Fabulous Fridays. Plus, look for classic clips, history videos, bonus live episodes, pay-per-view, watch-alongs, and more. For less than a cup of coffee at Starbucks, get early ad-free access to our Wrestling Insider talk shows, our acclaimed studio shoot interview DVD library, and help wrestling fans, especially here in the Boston area. We want to thank our great friends at Red Rose for their support for all of our charitable endeavors and programming efforts. Red Rose is 2 years young and extremely thankful for all the support they've had from our neighbors here in Melrose and beyond for an amazing first 2 years. Red Rose thanks Melrose and all of the first responders who have fought the good fight and have never given up hope during these unprecedented times. We did it together. Follow Red Rose on Facebook for their anniversary special, facebook.com/Red Rose Melrose. You'll be glad you did. Open until 2 a.m. Red Rose will give you fresh, piping hot, mouth-watering food that'll put an ear-to-ear smile on even the toughest critic's face. Check out their full menu online at redrosema.com or give them a call, 781-620-1889. All right, wrestling fans, as we count down the days to the tickets going on sale to the big one, our Back to the 80s reunion, Saturday night, November the 13th at Memorial Hall in Melrose. Tickets and VIP packages are on sale this coming Friday, August the 6th. You are not going to want to miss it. I have been told by President Reese more superstar announcements are coming, along with Jake the Snake Roberts, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, and Axe and Smash Demolition. Demolition did make the list of the 50 greatest tag teams in WWE history. Oscar got a little peeved when he found out NXT tag teams were included over Men on a Mission, but, you know, I can see your point in being a little peeved, Oscar, I guess is a fair way to put it. And I think the world of Tommaso. Tommaso was a Boston Wrestling MWF television champion, had a great run here. He competed against Daniel Bryan in an MWF ring when Daniel Bryan was the WWE United States champion, and you know how tough it is to try and get active WWE talent to do regional wrestling events like we do here in the MWF. But not impressed with that list, I guess, is the best way to wrap it up.
Quaker Oats oatmeal. You
What?
know, they're really good with cinnamon and brown sugar, and when you put raisins in them, oh my God, what a breakfast. So fans, remember, Quaker Oats oatmeal, the perfect way to start your day. So what's next?
You lost me on that one. I don't know what the hell you're talking about these raisins.
That's me talking about anything else but this.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, Chi-Town, not too far from where you are located right now, is turning into a hotbed of professional wrestling, Oscar. AEW had 3 big events lined up. Dynamite, its new Friday night television show on TNT at 10 p.m. beginning August 13th, I should say, AEW Rampage. And then their all-out pay-per-view, 3 events in 1 week, but ... is the quote-unquote, well, maybe non-mystery at this point. They went out and booked the much bigger United Center for AEW Rampage on Friday night, August the 20th. That's 4 events in Chicago within about a week and a half period of time. Do you think that's that's a lot?
I'm looking into who do I know to get a couple of tickets to go to the August 20th event. So I don't know if it's a lot. It's I mean, you know, it's an experiment. I mean, time is definitely going to tell. I do believe when you do that, you're oversaturating the market. But we'll see. I mean, maybe they'll do that, and maybe they won't be back for 6 months. Do you think that bringing CM Punk in is a reason to do it? Where he associated with Chicago. No. Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, if CM Punk is coming back, that's the time to definitely do it. So that furthers the case that maybe CM Punk is coming back.
Where they have teased it so much, I can't see them not bringing Punk back at the United Center. I think the bigger question is, when and where does Daniel Bryan debut? Do you save him for a television program? Do you save him for the all-out pay-per-view in Chicago 9-10 days later? How would you debut Daniel Bryan?
Oh, I would definitely debut him at a pay-per-view.
You'd save it for the pay-per-view.
Yeah, positively.
But you'd debut Punk at the United Center.
Oh, I would debut Punk at the United Center, absolutely.
I think
that place will become unglued.
I think if at this point where they've teased it so much, if Punk does not debut at the United Center, there's going to be a riot because there's a lot of fans that probably already had tickets to the other 3 events that are now buying tickets to a 4th event because
not necessarily. I mean, you can be pissed off, but it shouldn't get to a riot because you didn't promise nobody nothing. Now, you said he was coming and he don't come. That's a different story.
They have highly teased it, I think is the best way to put it.
That he was coming back that day?
Well, I mean, why else would you book a building that's already bigger than the 3?
No. You can't assume nothing. You can't.
All right. Well,
you can't assume.
Let me throw this one out at you then. Let's just say perhaps they needed a building. Why not just use the same venue in Chicago they're using for the other 3 events? Why go to a bigger marquee stadium, the home of the Chicago Bulls and the Blackhawks, I believe?
Well, I mean, it might be a situation where they can't go there. I mean, WWE may have a contract stating that, no other wrestling organization can go in there while they're under contract, number one. And number two, would you want to screw the same broad that your cousin is screwing? Or that the same broad that not your cousin, the same broad that your enemy's screwing?
Well, WWE, when they're in the Chicago area, they go to the Rosemont Horizon. I can't remember the last time they had a United Center event. It's been many moons, even though I believe they opened up the arena with you part of the event back at SummerSlam '94.
I'm able to say I was the first act in there.
You and
WrestleMania. I mean, SummerSlam '94.
You and Sweetness, Walter Payton.
No. Walter Payton was not there that year.
Yeah, he managed Razor Ramon.
Oh, duh. He sure did.
Sweetness. Sweetness.
Yeah, no.
And we're not talking about one of David Reese's sweetnesses.
Yeah.
That's
no. But no, I would. Yeah, no. There's a lot of reasons why they would. Number two, I don't blame them because the United Center is way nicer.
Oh, sure. But again, same point. Why wouldn't you just run the United Center for all of the events? They have to have something big planned to run the United Center on a Friday night at 10 p.m. on TNT. I think what a way to kick off their big pay-per-view week to have Punk debut on the 20th. Maybe as the show is going off the air, Punk comes out. Maybe he doesn't even speak. Maybe he doesn't even have a physical altercation. It sets up a big mystery. What's going to happen on Dynamite, Rampage, and it All Out the next week in Chi-Town? I don't know. That's how I'd book it, but that's just me. I like mystery and intrigue.
That's the reason why they're on the path of success. They got both of us right now wondering. It's not like we know what's going to happen or it's predictable. We're going, I'm wondering what's going to happen. I can't wait to see it. I mean, that's some of the best entertainment for $1 you can get.
Isn't it nice to see a professional wrestling company on the upswing in 2021? As opposed to everything going on in WWE, which is boredom galore?
I think it's fantastic. No,
yeah.
I believe the best days of wrestling is when there was competition. That's when wrestling was at its best. Not one company just, dominating everything and swallowing everything and getting all the money, and you didn't have no choices. You didn't know no choice. If you wanted wrestling, you had to look at this.
Yeah.
So now you got.
Even with WWE's 3 brands, they all still feel like WWE shows.
Right, they all still feel it. They all still belong to WWE. Now you got something totally different that's willing to take chances, willing to invest money, willing to take financial risks, and willing to sign top-tier talent. And you got, people who can wrestle. I even find the women's division over there a breath of fresh air because, those girls can go.
They have a couple that are very good. But you know what I find amazing, Oscar? If you go back to our last live event before coronavirus, look at how many talents from that event are now on the AEW roster. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Vicky Guerrero, Mark Henry, Matt Sydal, Evan Bourne, Brian Pillman Jr., Trey Lamar recently debuted on one of the AEW Doc Internet programs, so it just shows that, we have a pretty good roster here in Boston Wrestling MWF that you're going to see on November 13th, but with so many companies out trying to sign hot young talent, who knows how long it's going to be for? I mean, even Christian Casanova, who was part of the Uprising faction, he's gone on to NXT as Carmelo Hayes and is in the top prospect tournament right now, lighting NXT on fire. It's great.
Well, I mean, it just goes to show you guys know what you're doing when it comes down to the training and marketing of talent. They go on to do big and better things, make money, provide for their families, all off springboarding Boston wrestling. So I'm proud of all the children.
Thank God we got a VP like you, brother.
Well, I do what I can. I do what I can.
Before we go, I wanted to run one more AEW tidbit by you, Oscar. The I don't know if I'd call it must-see TV, but one you couldn't take your eyes off of if you watched it. The Chris Jericho-Nick Gage death match on AEW Dynamite last week. Did you get a chance to see the gore on TNT?
I didn't catch it, but my intent is to go and watch it, and I'll give you my feedback on it next week. I've been so busy with other stuff that I missed it, but I am going to see it, and we will talk about it, because I've heard things.
I look forward to your opinion. I know, hopefully, your reaction will be better than Domino's Pizza, who wasn't happy with the pizza cutter being used on a program that they sponsored, as the Chris Jericho and Nick Gage sliced and diced each other. But we'll save your thoughts on that for next week. Oscar, any other news and thoughts before we wrap up this week's post-Monday Night Raw program?
No, we're going to get off the show so we can have that board of directors talk for a minute.
Well,
I'm anxious.
I want you to check out what Cena Sr. had to say. I'm going to send you the link as soon as we're done with this program. Again, folks, a lot of things happening. Patreon.com/Boston Wrestling. We need as many of you to join the family as possible so we can keep the lights on, keep these live events coming, keep these studio shoots coming, keep these great charitable endeavors we do coming. We need your help. We love our fans. You're all friends to us, but when you join the Patreon for just a couple of bucks a month, you become a family member. And as I noted earlier, in regards to the Fiend, Bray Wyatt, that eBay store is open 24/7, baby. Merchandise galore with superstars of every era. You can find the link to that in the description box below. Hopefully, after the situation with Glantz now has been somewhat resolved, we'll be headed...
Hey, wait a minute. Yeah. Don't slide by that like you didn't even say it. What happened with that?
Well, he wound up communicating with someone at the studio while he continued to ignore hundreds of texts and phone calls from me. We were supposed to be in Tampa right now as we speak, recording episodes with some wrestling greats for our Wrestling Insider talk shows, but Glantz went missing with equipment, and Glantz is actually in Florida. So I don't know what to think. I have no idea. We had ideas for Las Vegas for the CAC. I don't know what that means. A lot of money went to waste, which is not funny by any stretch of the imagination. I wish Glantz could communicate, Oscar. I wish he could communicate.
Okay, well.
You're still chuckling. All right. Well, I'm glad you find it so amusing. And then again, fans, don't forget, join Hacksaw Jim Duggan, Jake the Snake Roberts, Axe and Smash Demolition, and a plethora more of 80s icons from the World Wrestling Federation as we go back to the 80s for WrestleFest as we celebrate our 20th anniversary, Saturday night, November the 13th, just 2 blocks away from this fine studio at Memorial Hall in Melrose, Massachusetts. For my Monday night partner in crime, the former WWF Tag Team Championship manager, Oscar, this has been Wrestling Insider's Monday Night Mission. Good night from Boston. Wrestling fans, all-inclusive VIP packages and tickets are on sale now for Boston Wrestling MWF's 20th anniversary Back to the 80s WrestleFest. Saturday night, November the 13th, at Memorial Hall in Melrose, Massachusetts, where you'll meet the icons up close and personal, including Hacksaw Jim Duggan, Jake the Snake Roberts, Axe and Smash Demolition, Marty Jannetty, and more 80s Hall of Famers to be announced SummerSlam weekend. Plus, the superstars and legends of yesterday, today, and tomorrow will blow the roof off of Memorial Hall with a hot night of in-ring action at this interactive wrestling event in Fanfest you'll never forget. Make your plans to be there live. Get your tickets at bostonwrestling.com now. Wrestling fans, especially here in the Boston area, we want to thank our great friends at Red Rose for their support for all of our charitable endeavors and programming efforts. Red Rose is 2 years young and extremely thankful for all the support they've had from our neighbors here in Melrose and beyond for an amazing first 2 years. Red Rose thanks Melrose and all of the first responders who have fought the good fight and have never given up hope during these unprecedented times. We did it together. Follow Red Rose on Facebook for their anniversary special, facebook.com/Red Rose Melrose. You'll be glad you did. Open until 2 a.m. Red Rose will give you fresh, piping hot, mouth-watering food that'll put an ear-to-ear smile on even the toughest critic's face. Check out their full menu online at redrosema.com or give them a call, 781-620-1889. Don't forget that Oscar's Wrestling Insider's Monday Night Mission is back with brand new episodes every week in its traditional time slot of Monday night at 11 p.m. after WWE Monday Night Raw. As we continue with Wrestling Insider's Week in Review again, fans, if you're just tuning in, don't forget the discounted all-inclusive VIP packages and event tickets to our 20th anniversary. Back to the 80s WrestleFest, Saturday night, November the 13th, at Memorial Hall here in Melrose, Massachusetts, are on sale now. We'll have the special price available for tickets for 2 weeks until SummerSlam Saturday, when we announce our 6th 80s WWF legend that'll be joining Hacksaw Jim Duggan, Jake the Snake Roberts, Axe and Smash Demolition, and the man that keeps on rocking, Marty Jannetty. On November the 13th, fans, we'll have a VIP exclusive Legends Q&A session, an autograph and photo fan fest open to all, and white-hot in-ring action. Fans, if you are in the Northeast, head on over to bostonwrestling.com now to get your tickets. The VIP packages are moving. There's not a bad seat in the house. As much as I have some issues with certain people in that venue, Memorial Hall is beautiful. It holds about 800 people capacity. It's just a great place to watch a pro wrestling show. They had live wrestling and boxing there all the way back in the 1930s and 40s. So it is a historic venue. It's got so many little areas. Just a great place to be if you've never seen a live event at Memorial Hall. If you yourself are part of a nonprofit organization that's looking to raise cash for your cause, boy, I have a solution for you guys. Head on over to WrestlingFundraisers.com and see how we can become tag team partners with your group to create an interactive night that fans will never forget. Again, WrestlingFundraisers.com. We love to work with nonprofit groups. It's part of what we do. It's part of our mantra over the past 2 decades. And, you know, if you're interested, shoot us a message. Maybe we can put something great together for your town. Tuesday nights are going to be getting a lot more interesting beginning September 7th. More news on that to come. But along with original episodes premiering, we still may bring you some Tony Atlas classics that newer fans may have never seen before, or those veteran Boston Wrestling MWF fans may want to relive again, or just hang out and chat in the premiere box. Looking for your input on that. If we have a new series that premieres on Tuesdays, would you still like us to also bring you Tony Atlas classics at the same time? Speaking of our favorite thief, old Mr. USA, I don't think Tony will hold up his word when it comes to the money he took for the deposit for the November 13th 80s event. However, coming up next, it's another Wrestling Insiders at Your House, where Tony shoots on the New Day and Titus O'Neil's public responses to Hulk Hogan's locker room apology. Check it out.
Wrestling fans, welcome to a special installment of Wrestling Insiders. I'm Dan Marotti, along with my 2-time Hall of Fame friend, Mr. USA, Tony Atlas. Tony, a pleasure to have you here again.
Well, thank you, sir. It's always a pleasure to be here at Boston Wrestling. The best of the best, the beast of the East. SOS, simply out of sight. Often imitated, but never duplicated.
You're going to make Oscar jealous.
Who?
He does the rapping.
Who?
Oscar.
Oh, I can rap, man.
All right, well.
I'm the rapper from way back.
Tony, the feedback to the Memories and Legends episodes
Yes, I like
taped.
feet.
Oh, please.
Oh.
The feedback has been, I can't believe how great the feedback has been to these episodes. The fans from around the globe have been watching online, on YouTube, on BostonWrestling.com. They're enjoying your stories an awful lot. So
yeah, it's like Animal House.
It's like, well, you should see some of what you got coming up in the future, fans. But our goal is to release new episodes every WWE pay-per-view weekend, as that's when fans are engaged with the product an awful lot. But we wanted to give fans somewhat of a sample. We want to talk a little current events. We're going to do a couple of them tonight, tomorrow night before SmackDown, and then next Monday as we kick off August, WWE's in Jacksonville, Florida for Monday Night Raw. So we're going to have little snippets of information, some current events, some feedback we've received on the episode. Tonight, though, Tony, back in the spring, we did a great episode that Hulk Hogan enjoyed an awful lot, where we discussed him, his career, his scandal. And since that time, as you obviously know, the Hulkster has been re-engaged to WWE, so to speak.
Good.
He has been reinstated to the Hall of Fame,
Beautiful.
something that Jimmy Snuka has not. And he was brought into the Extreme Rules pay-per-view in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and he made an apology to the locker room. And while the fans seem to be very happy the Hulkster is back, we did polls on our Twitter account at MWF Project X at different times. Almost 90% of the fans were happy that Hogan was back, and I think that says a lot. However, there was some turmoil in that locker room, Tony. There's some people that are not exactly thrilled. I'm going to read you some public comments on Twitter made by some stars, and then I want you to respond. How's that sound?
Okay, sound good.
This came from Kofi Kingston, a man I think an awful lot about, representing a statement for all three members of New Day, Xavier Woods, Big E, and Kofi. We are writing this simply to provide an answer to the many that have bombarded us with questions on where we stand on the issue. We preface this statement by emphasizing that this is our own opinion and may not necessarily reflect the opinion of anyone else involved. How do we feel? Indifferent. We're not happy, sad, or resentful. Who WWE puts into the Hall of Fame is totally and completely up to the company, and from a career standpoint, there is no argument whether or not Hogan should have his place. We have no problem with his reinduction in the slightest degree. It is impossible to even begin to mention the history of the business without mentioning his name and accolades. On a personal level, when someone makes racist and hateful comments about any race or group of people, especially to the degree Hogan made of our people, we find it difficult to simply forget, regardless of how long ago it was or the situation in which these comments were made. But we also do not respond with more feelings of hate. Instead, we just do not associate with the people who convey or have conveyed this negative and hurtful mindset. This instance will be no different. Perhaps if we see him make a genuine effort to change, then maybe our opinions will change with him. Time will tell. That was from Kofi Kingston, representing all three members of New Day. And then from Titus O'Neil, there were rumors that he threw a big-time fit and refused to even shake Hogan's hand. Titus said, "As for the reinstatement of Mr. Bollea, I can only communicate that I am a proponent of second and even third chances for individuals that show true remorse, acknowledgement of wrongdoing, fulfill their punishment if applicable, and otherwise put forth sincere efforts to correct the issues. Unfortunately, I must echo the sentiment and extreme dissatisfaction expressed by many of my fellow contemporaries concerning Mr. Bollea's apology and its lack of true contrition, remorse, and a desire to change. Mr. Bollea's apology that he didn't know he was being recorded, quote unquote, is not remorse for the hateful and violent utterances he made, which reprised language that caused violence against blacks and minorities for centuries. I stand firm in my position that Mr. Bollea is entitled to his reinstatement. He was and is a role model, hero, and icon to countless people. I hope that Mr. Bollea's missteps in communicating to the WWE talent in Pittsburgh are not repeated to his fans, and I expect that he shall pursue an agenda that clearly communicates to all third parties that his language was inappropriate, wrong, and should not be tolerated, I should say, in a civilized and inclusive society." Your thoughts on New Day and Titus O'Neil's not so welcoming return to the Hulkster, a man you know quite well?
There is nobody in pro wrestling, including myself, that could criticize a man for one day of anger. If they don't like what Hogan said, they must hate rap music. Because the word is all through every song. If you don't want to be called that, don't do it yourself. Don't judge people wrong when you do it yourself. Every time they look at from a group that call themselves a booty hole and making money.
Booty O's.
Booty hole.
O's.
Booty hole.
It sounds like you're saying
It's a
hole.
big O. That's what it is.
All right.
They come out and they wrestle as buttholes, pretty much.
I never took it that way.
Well, that's what it, I mean, come on now, it's booty holes. I mean, you know, they don't have the right to criticize someone like Hogan. They don't.
I think it was more along the lines of the apology that people
But it
didn't
don't
like.
matter.
All
If a man, that's what's wrong with us. Man say he's sorry. There's a lot of people that have said a lot worse things than Hogan, and never and their apology is accepted. You see,
Like who?
well, nobody talked about it. I mean, I hear them guys use the word.
Who?
Okay. I hear Kofi and Keith them. They used to play them songs. I do ask Mark Henry. I used to get mad at them. They play that rap music where the N word is all through it. I used to tell them in the dressing room that was wrong. They said, "Well, we're taking the power back." Well, if you're taking the power back, why are you mad at the first time a white person said it? The only time they raised hell about that word when a white person said it. But then they got the black guys singing songs and doing it. And you don't hear them complaining about them rappers. They just picking on Hogan because he's white. No other reason.
Wait, whoa.
They being racist.
You think
Yes.
New Day and Titus O'Neil are attacking Hogan because he's white?
Well, what other reason? They're not attacking these rappers for saying it.
Well, at the same time, the rappers aren't placed in their locker room to make an apology.
That's right. You don't see them making no apology for using the same word. So whenever you tell one race that I could say this, but you can't, who's the racist? I mean, that was the same thing as back in the day where they said, Tony, you, they tell Sweet Hansa and them guys, you could sit at this counter and eat, but Tony, because you black, you can't sit at the counter and eat. What happened to Hogan, in my opinion, it's just my opinion, they gave theirs, I'm gonna get mad. That's reverse racism. The only reason Hogan is in trouble because he's white, no other reason. If he was black, he could have hollered that word 1,000 times, wouldn't nobody say the word. But because he's white, he got to make an apology. Political correctness is for whites only. If Al Sharpton was white, they'd kick him out of the country. We got to stop that bull crap. Every time a white guy uses that word, he's a racist. Black guy use it, hey, he's cool. If the word is bad, nobody should be using it.
I agree with
Hogan,
that.
the only reason Hogan got in trouble is because Booker T used the word. How come he ain't talking about Booker T using it? Because Booker T's black.
Look at the Iron Sheik.
Yes. There's a lot of people that use that word over the years. Look at Richard Pryor use it all through his music. Chris Rock use it. You hear it all the time from black people. But as soon as a white person said, "Oh, he's racist. He hate blacks. He did," we got to cut that crap out. It's kind of like the B word. A man call a woman the B word.
What's the B word?
I am not going to say it. Them women ain't going to beat me up.
Rhymes with which?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I didn't.
Now, women call each other that all the time, but you better not call them one. See?
Well, I think there's a difference between that and what Hogan said.
Well, no, it's not. It's the same thing.
There's not.
It's the same thing. If the word is bad, the only reason. Now, imagine if Hogan was black and he said it. Would he been in trouble?
No.
That's my point.
Well, like I said, about 90% of the fan base was very excited that he was coming back on a poll that
Because
we
he
did
did
online.
nothing wrong.
Well, at the same time, he hurt people's feelings.
There ain't nobody feeling got hurt.
You don't think anybody? Well,
No,
obviously.
they'll attack Hogan because he's white, rich, and famous.
I'm talking about the feedback he got from his apology in Pittsburgh.
That's what I'm talking about. Because he's white, rich, and famous.
At least from their point of view, he seemed to lack remorse.
He got a lot of remorse. The man lost everything. He's a lot of remorse because he don't crawl on his belly like a snail and lick their frickin' boots. What they want him to do? He's a man. I mean, he got pride. He been on national TV. He been on the Inquiry. He been on. That ain't his first apology. They heard his apology
You're very
before.
correct. You're very
they heard
correct.
his apology before.
But it was his first apology in the auspices of a WWE event.
Who cares?
Well, obviously these
he went
guys
on
do.
national TV on many programs and apologized for saying the word. Which, in my opinion, he should never have to apologize for nothing.
Well, in this day and age of social media, the African Americans on the roster in WWE, they were bombarded with requests and what fans wanted to know what they thought about it, and that's what Titus and Kofi and Xavier.
They don't have the right.
They have a right to an opinion.
No.
They don't have the right to an opinion.
Nope.
No.
Not when it comes to that. Not when you're doing the same thing.
I think there's a big difference between.
But when I was in the dressing room when they listened to music.
Now, who are you talking about?
Titus and all them. They listen to them rap songs. I'm telling you, I used to get on them all the time. Him and what the other guy, VIP, what was his name?
MVP.
Yeah, me and him, we was getting in arguments about that stuff.
They played music that
Yes. And then when the white guy is singing a song, just repeating the lyrics. Hey, don't be saying that. Brother, don't play the music. And you tell the guy he can't say nothing. See, to me, that's reverse discrimination. Anytime you tell a person they can't say something because of the color of their skin, Hogan can't use that word only because of the color of his skin. No other reason.
No one should use the word.
Amen.
No one should use
no
the word.
one.
I think it creates a double standard.
Exactly.
If you're going to listen to the music that says it,
that's right.
I think you should be offended by that too.
So a white kid can listen to rap music, but he can't sing the lyrics. What kind of nonsense is that? That is stupidity. That is to divide America, divide people. Because how you think a white person going to feel, well, I like this song that made by 50 Cent or what, who's a rapper now, or Ludacris, but I can't say the words.
I don't understand why.
And about 70% of rap music is sold to white audience, and the word is all through it.
I don't think it should be used in any form of entertainment. Maybe a scripted movie or something like that if you're trying to tell a story.
When I see a black guy get in trouble for using it, that's when I say Hogan is wrong.
Okay.
But until I see a black guy get in trouble for using that word, I would say it reverse discrimination, that they discriminate against Hogan for using the word because he was white. If he was any other color but white, he would not have suffered any consequences. None.
That's
the problem I have. My mother raised me to believe in our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. And my mother used to always say, what good for the goose is good for the gander. Whatever that means. You ever hear that before?
I've heard that term many
Whatever
times.
goose is good for the goose. So if a white person can't use that word without getting in trouble, a black person shouldn't use it either.
Well,
if the black don't get in trouble for it, that's just like what having two guys robbing a bank, one black and one white. And you go to court. The black guy get 20 years for robbing the bank. The white guy get 5 years. Is that fair? No. Why is the judge different? They both did the same thing. This one getting punished severely. This one is not. You got guys in wrestling that in other entertainment use the same word, but they black. They get in no trouble. The white guy said he get in trouble. Like I said, imagine just picture in your mind Al Sharpton being white.
Well, we're getting a little off topic with that.
I know.
We're talking about Titus O'Neil on Twitter.
Well, the same thing. Titus, that's what Titus should look at. I've seen black people talk about white people all the time. You know, Roseanne made a joke about black people. They kicked off on TV.
That was a nasty tweet.
Well, it don't matter.
Well, in this day and age, you can't talk like that, Tony.
Well,
whether you think it's right or wrong, society has become so sensitive to these things.
No, but that's the problem.
You just can't do
it. To me, that's the problem.
It's stupidity for anyone to engage in any form of public comments like that.
To me,
it's career
that's the
suicide.
problem. That's the problem, because if a person, I rode up and down the street with Captain Redneck Dick Murdoch.
A KKK member and former WWF Tag Team Champion.
But I didn't judge him on his belief, because I had my belief, he had his belief. I can't make you believe and think the way I believe and think. I can't do it. But I could be civil about it. I don't have to agree with the way you think. I don't have to agree with what you say. But I shouldn't crucify you because you don't have the same belief as I got. You just like when they took the Confederate flag down in the down south. I didn't agree with that. Them people, they live there. They got a right to hold on to their heritage. That's their right. I may not like it. There might be some other people that don't like the fact of some kid walking around with a fist on his chest saying Black Power. But he got the right to do that, as long as it don't influence or hurt nobody. As long as I'm not attacking you or jumping on you or acting out on it, then you should have a right to express how you feel. Then if everybody is able to express themselves, see people, everything is like a balloon. You keep putting air in that balloon. Well, sometimes you have to let that air out of that balloon in order for that balloon don't explode. Now what happens if you keep telling people you can't do this and you can't do that and keep pushing people, and when people feel like, they say, well, look, well, he's doing it. That's what started the civil rights movement in the first place. Blacks got tired of not being able to do the same as whites. Now, eventually, whites going to get tired of not being able to do the same as blacks. Then you're going to have an explosion.
All right. Well,
So let people express themselves, and then you work with them and discuss it with them. Don't kick them to the curb and say, why you feel this way, brother? What can I do to make you feel better about my race, about me? Why you had these symptoms? That should open up the window for discussion instead of punishment and kick to the curb, because it's not going to go away. And the man say he's sorry, and them guys don't even want to accept his apology. What they should say, it took a lot of guts for him to do it. Ain't no black man on this planet have ever had to stand in front of and do as much apology as Hulk Hogan. Never. Not even OJ.
well, like I said, I
OJ
think
never say he was sorry.
I certainly think they're entitled to their opinion, whether
Right,
you
but
agree
they
with it or not.
but asking too much of him. He said he was sorry. What more can he do?
We didn't-
Sharing the shoes
to
for
be
him, would that make
fair-
him happy?
to be fair, we
if he
weren't
ran
in the-
around and go doo-dah, doo-dah, did that make him happy? They not accepting his apology. I mean,
what?
They didn't accept his apology, so it didn't do no good with them guys.
Well, let's call a spade a spade. Obviously, if he's
Oh,
in,
that's racist.
sorry,
See?
I'm sorry, everybody.
See?
Accept my apology
See
too.
what happened?
He's
Now I
obvious.
can say a spade is a spade,
He's
because
obvious.
I'm black.
He's
I
obviously.
can say anything. You white people, y'all can't talk no more. Shh, white people, shh. Black people say what you want to say.
He's obviously going to become a regular character again in WWE at some point.
Black people going to hate me.
The
ain't they?
35th WrestleMania is coming up in New York, where it
I'm
all
not going to be
began.
black no more. I'm going to change it in a
Well,
moment.
your last name is White, but that's a different story for a
I'm the
different
only
time.
legitimate white person in this whole building.
You're
legally.
the only real white we have
I'm
here
the
tonight
only
at the
real white
studio.
guy.
Okay.
But no, I mean fair is
If
fair.
the feedback right now
Yep.
is, I don't know if I'd call it bad, but it's certainly tense. Do you think it's going to get worse if Hogan's around on a regular basis, almost rubbing salt in the wound?
Only if they make it into that. I mean, what they should do, they should just forget about it. It's sad. You can't change history. It's water under the bridge. The man was defending his daughter, and the maid, they ignored the main reason. They were going to try to turn his daughter into a booty call.
Not
He
a
did
booty
not
hole.
send her there for that. He sent his daughter there to enhance her music career. I would have called him a lot worse if they had messed with my daughter. Okay? They would have got a lot. They would have called a lot worse than what he said. He was angry, and all of us has said things out of anger that we regret later. But to get kicked out of them and the world embarrassment for one of the greatest, and all them guys is eating good because of Hogan.
Well, they're all
What they
working
should
hard
have said,
themselves
what
on the road right now.
Titus and them guys should have said, well, we accept his apology. He's a great asset to the business, and we're glad that Hogan saw the light.
What do you
Period.
think Hogan could do to make these people happy
Nothing.
that he's back?
Nothing.
There's nothing he can do.
Nothing.
All right. Well,
Because people love to kick you when you're down. Nothing.
all I can say is, there are people in here. Hogan, I worked with extensively.
He's a
twice.
great guy.
And I mean, I'm not talking about someone that went to a fan fest and shook his hand. I mean, long 10-hour days I worked with the man, and I
He's a
could
great
not
guy.
believe how genuine he was with
He's
the
a
fans
great
that
guy.
day. Now, granted, it's a wrestling business. Everyone's going to have their ways about doing business, but when it comes to being a genuine human being, he ranks right up there with anyone I've ever met in the business.
And he don't have a racist bone in his body. I've been known Hogan since 1978.
Right.
These guys here never traveled with him. They never been around him. They don't know him.
Do you think it would behoove WWE maybe to set up a private, a non-publicized session where he could sit down with some of the African-American superstars that don't exactly feel comfortable with him being around?
Why? He don't owe them nothing.
Fair enough.
He don't owe them nothing.
Fair enough.
They should sit down with him and thank him for him helping Vince to build a company where they could be as famous as they are and as great as they are because of the sweat and see, I saw what that man did. I was there when and Vince McMahon, and if it wasn't for Vince knowledge and hard work, see, Vince don't sleep. And people don't know Hogan didn't eat. I checked into the hotel with Hogan one day, and I went to the gym. I came back to the room. I worked out. I went to the matches. I came back to the room. I went to sleep. The next morning, I got up at 4 o'clock to go catch a 6 a.m. flight, and Hogan was coming in to get his bag.
Wow.
Bed was never slept in.
Wow.
That
could have kept him in your room. He would have saved a couple bucks.
Hogan worked on 2 to 3 hours of sleep. He had to sleep on his way there. Very rarely did Hogan get a chance, and this went on for year after year after year. That man worked his butt off. Vince McMahon worked their butt off, and for anybody to take 1 day out of this man's life, 1 day, not even a whole day. If you listen to the whole tape is like 2 minutes. 2 minutes of his life. And they're going to destroy this man's whole life for what he said for 2 minutes.
It's like one sentence out of a
book.
book.
For one sentence out of all that stuff that he said, they nitpick this one thing that he said wrong. Oh my God, he used the N-word. And then they go right and get right in the dadgum car, put that dadgum tape in there and hear the word 1,000 times and say and feel nothing. But because he is white, he is not allowed to say that. No other
Like
reason.
I said, I just think the word should be eliminated from everybody, and then it would be a better place.
If it's bad for whites to use it, it should be bad for Spanish, bad for Orientals, bad for blacks, bad for Martians, bad for people
Martians.
from the
Okay.
moon. Yeah, don't let the moon people be able to say it either because
we have some racist aliens that are going to come down.
because they Martians, that don't mean that they
All
could
right,
do
well,
it.
you know what? They
That's
are
just my
supposedly
opinion.
green,
I
so-
just believe in equalness. I'm sorry that I'm probably offending a lot of people of color, but that's just the truth.
It's your opinion.
Yes,
And we're all entitled to our opinion.
if it's bad for one person, it should be bad for all people.
Right.
But I lived through a time when the shoe was on the other foot.
Well, we don't want to get into you
and
and the shoes.
That's why I don't like it. No, I ain't going to talk about all that. But that's why
Please.
I don't like it, because I remember when the shoe was on my foot where I couldn't say and do things because of the color of my skin.
Fair enough.
So if I didn't like it being done to me, then I'm not going to like it be done to another race.
Well, you know, it's interesting for me to sit here. I can't look at it through their eyes. I can't look at it through your eyes. You know?
You're not supposed to.
Well, it's just right now it's a big topic of conversation.
Well,
and I like the guys that are involved. I like Hogan. Kofi's great. He was with us here in the MWF for a while. Just such a great guy overall. Xavier Woods, we were going to bring in at one point when he
They
was
don't
down
have the
in
right
Atlanta.
to judge Hogan, though.
Well, okay.
They don't.
I think
That
they
is
have a
my
right to an opinion. All right.
They don't have a right to judge him.
Fans, we want to know what you think. As always, send us some feedback here on a YouTube channel, over on Twitter, bostonwrestling.com. Get ready for Monday Night Raw. It's a big summer,
Equal.
Tony. We're headed towards SummerSlam weekend.
Right, brother?
We have
Everybody should be treated equal.
not William Moy doesn't treat anyone equally, especially Tyrone.
William, my
but that's a
man, he
different
looked just
story
like
for a
Tony
different
Atlas.
time. You should see his girlfriend Eunice. Big fan of yours, Eunice Torres.
But he got to buy her a picture.
Well, we'll talk about her off the. For Tony Atlas, I'm Dan Marotti. SummerSlam weekend, not one, 2 big episodes, Tony. We have Dr. David Reese here trying to diagnose the psyche of Tony Atlas.
Yeah.
Then we have a great episode looking back at 3 great champions from WWE history: Bruno Sammartino, superstar Billy Graham, and I almost forgot the third guy, Bob Backlund. It's going to be a lot of fun. Hopefully we continue to have you here more and continue to check in.
Yep. And don't y'all fans out there hate me for what I say. I just believe that what is good
Don't
for the
hate
goose.
anybody. How about
what
that?
Is good, don't hate anybody.
Don't
What is
hate
good for the
anybody.
goose is good for the gander.
That's right.
If it's illegal for him, one person to use it, it should be bad for any person to use it. I don't like when nobody uses it. I don't care if you're white, black, blue, or green. I don't like the word. I lived through it. I don't like the word. It get used, but I don't think that one person should get punished simply for the color of their skin. Because to me, where's the difference?
Tony, we're going to be back tomorrow night with another news episode. We're going to discuss, boy, are we going to discuss it, Tony.
I don't know.
In depth. We're going to roll with the punches here. We're going to talk about the WWE Evolution pay-per-view coming October the 28th. It's going to be an interesting night for this guy, the Hoffer, 2 times over. I'm Dan Marotti. See you tomorrow night. Be well.
Wrestling fans, all-inclusive VIP packages and tickets are on sale now for Boston Wrestling MWF's 20th anniversary Back to the 80s WrestleFest. Saturday night, November the 13th, at Memorial Hall in Melrose, Massachusetts, where you'll meet the icons up close and personal, including Hacksaw Jim Duggan, Jake the Snake Roberts, Axe and Smash Demolition, Marty Jannetty, and more 80s Hall of Famers to be announced SummerSlam weekend. Plus, the superstars and legends of yesterday, today, and tomorrow will blow the roof off of Memorial Hall with a hot night of in-ring action at this interactive wrestling event and Fanfest you'll never forget. Make your plans to be there live. Get your tickets at bostonwrestling.com now. Continue to enjoy Wrestling Insiders at Your House Classics with Tony Atlas every Tuesday night at 10 p.m. following WWE NXT as we continue the manhunt to bring you a new co-host on Tuesdays. As noted earlier, some big changes are coming to Tuesday nights on Wrestling Insiders beginning September the 7th. If you want to help keep Wrestling Insiders rolling 7 days a week, we invite you to check out the great selection of merchandise we have in the Boston Wrestling eBay store featuring superstars of every era. Each purchase not only helps these fine talk shows, but you also get an on-air shout-out from one of our featured superstars as our thanks to you for helping the team, and each purchase helps keep Wrestling Legends working. You can find the link to our eBay store in the description box below. Along with your help on eBay, give tonight's Supersized Wrestling Insiders Week in Review a thumbs up. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Again, folks, that's absolutely free with over 2,000 videos. It's the best way to show YouTube that you guys are interacting and enjoying what we do. Leave your thoughts in the Premier Chat live or after the fact in the comment section below. As always, that Super Chat button, it's calling your name. It's calling your name. Professional wrestling superfan, we know you want Wrestling Insiders to continue 7 nights a week. We know you want more great guests, more live episodes, more live watch-alongs. Click us. Click my button. Click the Super Chat button. Donate anything you can. Donate $1. Donate $1,000. Anywhere in between. Whatever you prefer. Did you get the hint? Was that a subtle hint? I don't know. Every dollar raised helps us keep the lights on and bring you more great talent to share their stories with you, which is what we want to do, not just for months to come, not just for years to come, but for decades to come. And let me tell you, folks, that's a lot of work for this guy. Coming up next, it's our Wednesday Night Wrestling Insider Special Edition with, for now, the final episode of a great guy I loved having join the Boston Wrestling MWF team. I'm talking about Sinister Minister, Father James Mitchell, looking at our industry through a manager's eyes. In this episode, Mitchell discusses some of the power brokers he interacted with during his career, including Eric Bischoff, Diamond Dallas Page, the late Kanyon, Kevin Sullivan, Paul Heyman, Jerry and Jeff Jarrett, Dixie Carter, and Vince Russo. Enjoy.
All right, wrestling fans, welcome back to Wrestling Insider. So happy to be joined by this gentleman. We talked about him breaking into the king of sports professional wrestling. We talked a little bit about the magical land of Moolah Drive, some time in Smoky Mountain, Jim Cornette. We could continue to go on and on and on as we just scratch the surface a little bit. You really get to know some unique enigmas as far as promoters, bookers, and so on in your career, and I wanted to touch a little bit upon that as we continue the timeline of your career, but maybe just to kind of compare the power brokers that you interacted with. You know, you went to WCW, Bischoff was running the show, Kevin Sullivan was booking at the time. You went to TNA, you had Dixie Carter,
and Jeff and Jerry
and everybody, and Vince Russo, who was another You talk about someone that people have diverse opinions on.
Very
ECW,
polarizing.
ECW, Paul Heyman.
Right.
Just compare some of those, the power brokers that you interacted with throughout your career. Before we go back to that,
All right.
maybe the timeline jump when you went to
fuck the
WCW.
timeline.
Fuck the timeline.
Fuck
All right.
the timeline.
Fuck the timeline.
All right. Throw a name out.
Well, we talked about Cornette and Moolah. Let's talk about going to WCW. Your initial thoughts of Bischoff.
Eric Bischoff hired me. I was friends with Chris Kanyon, and they were starting the whole Blood Runs Cold thing. And Kanyon, I'm sure, had been a pain in the ass to Kevin Sullivan for probably a year. They were in a gym learning how to be karate guys for a year before that. And I was pestering Kanyon constantly, trying to get a gig. And he would pester Sullivan. And then, anyhow, I kind of thought it wasn't going to happen. And I was at Kanyon's house one night in Atlanta just hanging out. And the phone rang, and Diamond Dallas Page calls. And he says, "Yo, Kanyon, get that manager dude over here in the morning. Cut a promo. They need a manager. They need a mouthpiece for you guys." So we're sitting there completely shit-faced, fucking drunk. And I was like, oh shit, I need to write a backstory for this Glacier thing. Because there was no fucking backstory. All we knew was there were these Mortal Kombat looking guys. So I came up with the idea of kind of like that movie Bloodsport, if that's the one I'm thinking of, where there was the underground Kuintai or whatever the hell they called it, the underground sneaky pit fighting to the death things. And I put that kind of spin on it. So up until like 4 a.m, we filmed this thing and just completely drunk out my
Just
mind.
at Canyon's house?
Yeah, at Canyon's house to bring it over to Paige in the morning. And Paige looked at it and he went, "Dude, that fucking, I like your ideas, but that your fucking delivery sucks." And at the time I went, "Well, that's the way I talked on Smoky Mountain. That's the whatever." Just, I could now call it a buzzsaw delivery, which may be where, like you were asking me in an earlier episode about comparisons to Cornette and Heyman. I was probably, I guess it probably sounded like just a motor mouth Southern guy. And Paige said, "Take everything that you're doing and slow it down." And here's another thing a lot of people don't know. Dallas Page basically was the babysitter of Blood Runs Cold. They had too much NWOs going on. So now Paige was kind of handed off to be the babysitter of Glacier and Wrath, Brian Clark, Kanyon, and myself. So he painstakingly directed me through this. And I remember he was sitting there, a girl was doing his hair or frosting his tips of his hair, and he was sitting in a chair just like behind where that camera is. And I'd do the promo, and he said, "No, do it again, slow it down. Be evil, slow down." And there was like a line that I had in there about opening Pandora's box, and my original delivery was probably, "I've opened Pandora's box and I've done this and that." And he's going, no, "I have opened Pandora's box." And I did it. He goes, "No, you have to open the box when you do it. So I have opened Pandora's box," like you're looking into it. So it was this very detailed, and look down your face like you're a vampire and speak like this. So we did it. And I forget how long it took to get it done, but he walked over to Bischoff's house, which was next door or 2 doors down. And he walked back in and he goes, "Yo, you might want to send us to WWE." And I was like, oh, crestfallen. And he goes, "By the way, kid, you got the job." I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? And fucking, I don't know, 20, 30 minutes later, Eric Bischoff walks in Dallas Page's man cave.
Well, they were used to going back and forth to each other's homes. So
That's
both,
what I
both,
hear.
both couples, yeah.
So he walked in and he said, "I watched your tape." And he goes, "You're pretty good. And I like that thing, that whole pitch about the underground pit fighters." And he goes, "I'm not sure where we're going to go with this because of the NWO, but I'd like to sign you to the deal." So I went to his office like a month later. He went ahead and put me under contract. So they started paying me. It took like a month before I moved to Atlanta. And I met him in the office. I remember, He signed me, but he said, "Look, I'm going to be the guy to get rid of tag teams and managers." I think they're obsolete. But we've already committed. We've got all this money tied up in Blood Runs Cold. We're going to do it. And I remember he said, plain as day, don't buy a house, don't get married, don't have any children, because I don't know how long this is going to happen. Shook my hand. I went into Gary Jester's office, signed a contract. We celebrated like hell. So it was like, and I remember I was higher than you could ever be high on anything, like an endorphin rush for like 2 days. It was insane. And I remember when Bischoff hired me, I said, let me go to the bathroom. And I went and I burst into tears for a minute and I had to get my shit back together. But, and then I went to CNN Tower to sign like the day before we did the TV, Kevin Sullivan was there. Now, Kevin Sullivan was probably already pissed off that Kanyon was pestering him, because Kanyon had a habit of pestering people about things. And I remember Kevin Sullivan walked up and he goes, okay, you're going to be at TV tomorrow. Or maybe it may have been the day of the TV. I could be wrong. It may have been the next day I went to TV, because I'm going to tell you right now, this comes straight from the top. No voodoo, no black magic, no hocus pocus, no crazy stuff, no Jack Nicholson, and no Van Horn. Now change your name. And I went, okay. So I had changed my name to James Vandenberg, which just popped in my head because it sounded like Van Horn, and that was the name of a cheesy 80s metal band. But yeah, so Bischoff, my interactions with him were very brief, and Dallas had told me, the trick is stay the fuck out of their way. What you want is the Iron Sheik deal. You want them to forget you're on the payroll and let it roll over, which is exactly what happened after the first year. It rolled over twice. But yeah, my interactions with Bischoff were brief as far as personally. Now, in terms of what he did for WCW, he did a lot of good. He did some bad. He did some shit that I think was kind of embarrassing. But I think on the whole, what he did to create the Monday Night Wars was fucking brilliant. And I appreciate the hustle. The fact that a guy who was selling video games or a video game project out the back of his trunk to Vern Gagne a few years earlier.
I think they were throwing stars
yeah,
or
something
like
Ninja
that.
Superstars, whatever it was. And I think I'd also heard a story about him, being one of the guys that sold meat out the back of the truck.
Oh, that I've never heard of, yeah.
But I appreciated the hustle. I think that he did. I wasn't like in on the early days of the Hogan entrance, I think a lot of that fell flat. Although I wasn't looking at the books. I'm just looking at Hogan's being cheesy because he can't be a certain way on TV. But there's no question that the Monday Night Wars was the best thing to happen to wrestling in my lifetime in terms of the power of it. And had that not happened, I wouldn't have gotten a fucking job. I mean, how many people, old timers, do you hear say, thank God Andre the Giant's on the card or Hulk Hogan's on the card. Now I'm going to make some money.
Right.
If that shit had not happened, I wouldn't have a fucking job. So no matter what kind of shit Eric Bischoff may fucking say about me fucking 25 years later or whatever, had that not happened, I wouldn't be sitting here with you now.
Is he not a fan of yours?
Oh, no. He said I'm a fucking piece of shit. And
really?
Let me give you a quick backstory. I never heard a bad word from Bischoff the whole time I was there. Usually walked in, good job tonight. Maybe three times. The only time he ever said anything bad to me, he said, Mortis and Wrath told me to walk in front of them down the aisle, and he caught me at gorilla position on the way back, and he said, don't ever do that again. You have no idea how much height you take off of them. And I never did it again. Now, being like, as soon as I left WCW and started doing something else, I was embarrassed to watch it. But it's like watching yourself when you have Coke bottle glasses and braces. It's what you did.
Right.
Fuck, Kevin Nash was Vinny Vegas. Whatever. Right. Oz. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm embarrassed to watch it. But I did exactly what the fuck I was told to do by the people in charge of telling me to do it. And they told me, do that. We'd even be doing run-throughs just to get camera angles set up. And I'd just be walking out there fucking off. We're just doing this, and the production people go, do that character you do. So I do that. Now you hear Eric Bischoff say if somebody's wringing their hands, they're a piece of shit, whatever. And whatever. It's fine. I mean, if Eric Bischoff called me right now and told me he had to move and pack up his house from Cody, Wyoming, I owe him that.
Really? Wow.
I don't give a fuck what he said about me. I owe him that because if he had not done that, if he'd not given me that opportunity and put me on that platform, I would never be on the trajectory to do anything I did in or out of wrestling, and I will always owe him that. Totally. So, I mean, yeah, he's done shit. He did shit after I left WCW that I thought was stupid. I thought when he came to WWE as a performer, I thought he was brilliant.
Excellent.
Fucking
very
great.
Underrated. Very underrated.
I don't know if he's underrated.
Manager.
I mean, he's fucking great. Great at
He was one of the
being
better
Eric
part
Bischoff.
of that show for 4 years.
Yeah, he was
in
good.
that role. Yeah, he was
All
very
right,
good.
so another guy.
But do you think, back to that for one sec, was it more towards your character or more towards you that he didn't like?
I couldn't imagine a personal reason for him to hate me. I mean, I've heard him, like he shits on Jimmy Hart all the time.
Oh, really?
And
I've never even
well,
heard
not
that.
personally, but
Yeah.
he doesn't like managers. Although it's kind of funny, Eric, that
He turned
you
into one.
became a manager without calling yourself a manager, but it's 25 years ago. Who gives a fuck? But no, there'd be no reason for him to personally hate me. I didn't get in trouble. I didn't do any shit. I mean, he doesn't like spooky shit. He hates spooky shit. He doesn't like managers. So fuck it, you know? And it's his company.
You just
He
weren't his
paid
cup of
me.
tea.
He honored what he paid me. He let it roll over twice. And he's not the guy who fired me. I think Bill Bush or somebody did, whoever took over
When they
after
told
he was
Bischoff
gone.
to go
Bischoff
back
was
to
gone,
Wyoming,
and some bean counter said, "We're paying this guy how much money to sit home and get mailbox money?"
They
So-
got rid of a lot of guys when that happened.
Yeah,
that would have
this
been, was this the fall of 99?
Yes, it was
Yeah.
the fall of '99.
There were
Yeah,
a
exactly.
lot of heads that rolled
Yeah,
when
yeah.
Bischoff went home.
So, give me another one.
Well, it was same promotion, Kevin, even though a little bit
Kevin, okay, now at the time I worked with Kevin, because Kanyon was kind of paranoid, and Kevin, and it's funny now when you hear all these shoots coming out years later, you understand things. The time the Dungeon of Doom was going on, I looked at the Dungeon of Doom the same way Eric Bischoff looked at my character. I was like, what the fuck is Kevin? What is this shit about? This was Kevin Sullivan.
Yeah.
What is this about? Now, and you've probably talked to him, he was dealing with the cards he was dealt. He had to keep Hogan happy. He had to keep Turner Standards and Practices happy. And I know all this shit now, but at the time it was dug into my head that Kevin Sullivan hated us by Kanyon and our clique. Oh, Sullivan buries everybody, but that's what everybody underneath says. Reconnected with Sullivan several years later. Got to, you know what I mean? Cool guy. I mean, he's another guy who's been around so fucking long. He is a connection to that old fucking Vince Senior days.
People forget that.
Yeah.
And he was a big
And
muscle-bound
dude, he's
guy,
been
too.
every fucking... I remember watching him when he was a chubby little guy, and then he showed up on Georgia Wrestling maybe in 1980. I used to see him in Florida before that, but he showed up, you know, suddenly like he got on the sauce or
Ripped,
whatever.
yeah,
He had a
yeah.
beard. Sullivan, he's a great fucking mind. And then it's cool when it's almost like going to a high school reunion. Never had a bad word with Sullivan other than him going, no voodoo or whatever. Didn't really talk to him before that. But he gets it. He gets the business. And he's also at that kind of place of like Buddhist kind of, he's got his Zen or his Chi together. He doesn't get all white. You know, he goes crab fishing. He's got his gym or whatever he's got over there in Pacific Northwest. He doesn't have time for the drama. So it's cool to listen to the wisdom.
He's on his
of a
little
guy
island
like that.
now up
But
in
he,
Washington.
I mean, he delivered. He knew how to book heat. He booked heat on heels really, really fucking well. So he was really good at that. That would be the main thing I remember from Kevin Sullivan as a booker.
Not maybe so much a power broker in the world of professional wrestling, but a man you were very close with that I don't think maybe gets his just due sometimes is Chris Kanyon, who unfortunately left us several years back. Great friend of yours. Maybe some memories, some thoughts on the talent and the human being.
Wow. Kanyon was like me. There's kind of like, I call generations of wrestling maybe like 7-year segments, you know, not 25 like a real generation as you grow up and you move beyond things. But he was of that generation. I'd started a little bit before he did, but he was a super fan, and he loved it. He loved goddamn wrestling to the exception of all other things. He had the biggest tape collection I've ever seen. He had a fucking room as big as what we're sitting in here, and all the shelves were filled top to bottom, ceiling to bottom, with wrestling tapes that he would. I mean, he was a student of the game. Very innovative guy, a very giving and kind with his time. And when he was on your side, man, pardon me, if he was on your side, you had a really strong ally. You know what I mean? And he would take a bullet for you. He really would. Unfortunately, which I started to find out more as in WCW days. I'd known him for probably 5 years before that, but he had like bipolar mental health kind of issues, which at the time I didn't know what they were. Why are you acting this way? You know, one day it's Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde kind of stuff. And I think that kind of slowed down what he could have been, because I think he would have been, could have been figured in very strongly as a creative force behind the scenes. He had a lot of unofficial creative input. And he was tasked by Bischoff, say, to go hire all the cruiserweights and, you know, go be the executive wrestling producer on this movie or whatever, you know? And when you had to get, what's his fucking name, Karl Malone or whatever, or Dennis Rodman or Jay Leno, you went to Kanyon to do it, you know, to train them. I miss him so fucking bad. He was a great talent, and then the thing that's cool is that his legacy lives on because there are so many people that he touched. That, you know, because he understood where they were coming from. You know what I mean? And he, you know, they didn't know where to turn or where to get an in, and people would run into Kanyon like marks in a bar, and he would see something in them and go, "Here's my phone number. Give me a call. We'll make it happen." Because he saw their passion, and he could tell the difference between, hey, how do I get to be one of them wrestlers, which everybody gets, versus, no, I'm really a student of the fucking game and I want to do it. So yeah, I miss him. He was the great fucking talent.
He was paid substantially well, from what I understand, when he was in WCW for his wrestling spot. What I mean,
no, I mean he started out, I think, at like $125,000 a year, but then it started popping about the time he got with Raven, and then when they started getting into the movies, then it jumped up substantially, and then he was also, on top of the fact that they gave him a huge bump, then he would get the movie money.
Yeah.
You know,
so on top of the wrestling
on top
income,
of it. I mean, no, there were years.
The Hollywood income, yeah.
There were years he was probably making $400,000 a year, if not more.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, he got in trouble with the IRS because he wasn't. He was too preoccupied, ADD or whatever, to pay his taxes. One day he went to put his fucking card into the ATM and it was all gone.
Oh,
but no, he was a good guy.
Were you surprised when the time came that he passed?
Oh, you're trying to make me fucking cry here. He had threatened. He started threatening suicide in, was it June of 2000? Excuse me, June of 2006. Actually, he called me and he said, it's 666. June 6, 2006.
I remember exactly where I was.
I remember the day, and he told me he was going to kill himself, and I was like, "What in the fuck are you talking about?" What, you know? And again, I don't understand anything about depression and whatnot. I'm like, "What are you sad about? You're making all this money, whatever." You know, most people would cut their fucking legs off at the knee with a chainsaw to have your thing. And he was but he was rambling and he was manic. And he disappeared for a few days, scared the shit out of me. I remember she was up were you in Washington?
I was in LA.
LA.
666, yeah.
And I called her, and anyhow, he reappeared. Nothing had happened. Or maybe, depending on what story you believe, he may have tried to OD minorly the first time, but on whatever, some Tylenol or something. But then every once in a while after that, it increased, you know, and his threats got worse. His threats to himself got worse, and it would kill me. I couldn't get you know, when somebody says I'm gonna off myself, okay, I'm gonna get on a plane to where?
Right.
You're not gonna be able to find me. You know what I mean? And all you could do was call the people who loved him and say, have you heard from him? And anyhow, I saw him at a Mikey Whipwreck show. The story's been told other places, but he was really kind of whacked out of his mind. And he told me after the show, and it didn't go well for him at all. He was re-debuting the Mortis character that had been on cold storage for 10 years or something. And we were in the hotel room, and he told me, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And, you know, I at the time, I argued with him, and he was just saying, you know, you don't know what it's like. Because I was saying, you're being selfish. All these people love you. He's like, fuck you. You're being selfish. You don't know what it's like to live in my head. You don't know, you know. And I just kind of hugged him, and I got on the fucking airport, got on the plane to go on the way back. Before I got there, I texted my wife there. And I just fucking cried the whole way back because it felt like this might be the one. And then it was one of those things where for like a few weeks, it may have been a month, I don't know how long, I kept trying to get a hold of him and I couldn't. But every day that I didn't hear he died, I knew was a good thing, you know? And then his friend Mike Passarello called me at, when you get a phone call at like 5:45 in the morning, and I know, and it was fucking horrible. But, you know, the thing was cool. I went to his funeral with Raven, and it was a beautiful fucking celebration of his life. And what was really cool, the fucking place, I remember Raven going, God damn, Vandy, he drew a house. The fucking place was backed up around the corner like people were going to go see a fucking Rolling Stones concert. And the thing that was cool was it wasn't all wrestling people. I would say the majority of it was civilians. And, you know, and I think I just have this tunnel vision of all the people who he touched in our bubble. But talking to all these people that were wrapped around that fucking building, I am not exaggerating, wrapped around the fucking building for 2-3 blocks to get in and just pay respects for him was, you know, it was very touching. And I wish he could have fucking, as alone as he felt, I wish that he could realize, you know, I wonder if he realized how much he meant to people and what an impact he had on their lives if he would have gone down the same path, you know, but who knows. But he great guy. And you know, that one of, oh, fuck. Oh. I'm sorry. I miss him. God.
No, well, you know what? We've lost so many in the Brotherhood. I mean, we all have people, you know, that I think pull on the strings of your heart like that afterwards. So I think right now, perfect spot. We'll take a brief time out, folks. We'll be back with more Wrestling Insider Special Edition with the Sinister Minister, James Mitchell. Be right back. Wrestling fans around the corner, around the world, I'm Dan Marty.
And I'm Mr. USA WWE Hall of Famer Tony Atlas.
The road to WrestleMania has begun. Wrestling fans are looking to add to their man caves. You got to see what we have in the eBay store.
Check it out.
Here's your chance to own a piece of history from the 2020 WWE Draft. On the second night, October the 12th, The Fiend, Bray Wyatt, and Alexa Bliss unleashed hell on Andrade and Zelina Vega. This limited edition 11x14 collector's poster is number 26 of only 50 made, personally signed by both The Fiend and Alexa Bliss, direct from friends at WWE. Comes with certificate of authenticity hologram on the poster itself, suitable for framing. You'll also receive a bonus autographed mystery photo and an on-air shout-out as our thanks to you. Get this ultra-rare autographed Fiend and Alexa Bliss poster now. Boston Wrestling Sports and the MWF explodes into a new year of unknown with professional wrestling content galore, and we need you to join our family. Every Tuesday night at 10 p.m. after we review the previous night's Monday Night Raw, it's Wrestling Insiders at your house with the unpredictable WWE Hall of Famer, Mr. USA, Tony Atlas. Wednesday nights after WWE, NXT, and AEW at 10 p.m., you never know who's going to show up on Wrestling Insiders Special Edition. Every Thursday night at 10 p.m. after our NXT and Dynamite review, it's Marty Jannetty's No Holds Barred Sex, Drugs, and Rock and Roll journey through the 80s and 90s on Wrestling Insiders Party with Marty. Friday nights after the lights go down at the Thunderdome on SmackDown, it's John Cena Sr.'s Wrestling Insiders Fabulous Fridays. Plus, look for classic clips, bonus live episodes, pay-per-view watch-alongs, and more. If you want early, ad-free access to all of our Wrestling Insider talk shows, our acclaimed studio shoot interview DVD library, and to help keep wrestling legends working during the worst of times, for less than a cup of coffee at Starbucks, join our growing family at patreon.com/Boston Wrestling. Expect the unexpected in 2021. Wrestling fans, especially here in the Boston area, we want to thank our great friends at Red Rose for their support for all of our charitable endeavors and programming efforts. Red Rose is 2 years young and extremely thankful for all the support they've had from our neighbors here in Melrose and beyond for an amazing first 2 years. Red Rose thanks Melrose and all of the first responders who have fought the good fight and have never given up hope during these unprecedented times. We did it together. Follow Red Rose on Facebook for their anniversary special, facebook.com/Red Rose Melrose. You'll be glad you did. Open until 2 a.m. Red Rose will give you fresh, piping hot, mouth-watering food that'll put an ear-to-ear smile on even the toughest critic's face. Check out their full menu online at redrosema.com or give them a call, 781-620-1889.
Wrestling fans, welcome back to Wrestling Insider Special Edition. So happy to be out of my usual surroundings at MWF Studios. Not that I don't love it there, but we all need a break now and then as we're on the road for the spring and the summer with some of these Wrestling Insider Special Edition episodes. We're looking at some very important figures in wrestling history. Not only to the history of the business, but to you personally, as we've seen here in this episode. But as we begin to wind down this episode, two individuals I don't think we could ignore, one of which would have to be Paul Heyman, ECW.
Yeah.
What Paul, a character he created, or you created for him in ECW.
Paul, the first time I spoke to him, we had booked Barry Horowitz on an indie show in probably 1993 or something. Mm-hmm. And it was before I went to Smoky Mountain Wrestling. And Barry Horowitz gave me a bunch of phone numbers. And in those days, I would, because I was booking, right, I just use this as a reason to needlessly call people, try to, hey, what would it cost to bring you up? And hey, can you look at my tape? Maybe take it somewhere else, that kind of shit. Anyhow, he gave me Paul Heyman's number. And I was at Kanyon's house one night, and Kanyon tape recorded the call, because Kanyon was very much in the learning phase, and he was afraid to call Paul Heyman. So I left him a message, and Paul Heyman called me up, and he said, anybody who stole his name from Jack Nicholson, dresses like me, and talks like Jim Cornette is okay with me. So I talked to him for a year or two, just, I don't know if he's fucking drunk or whatever, just had time to deal with marks, But I got into ECW through Raven, and I mean, we don't have enough time to go into all that. We will another time. But Heyman, I'd shown up for, I don't know, it seems like could be 4 weeks, could be 8 weeks, but Raven had told me, they're not just going to offer you a fucking job. You need to show you're one of the boys, and you got to trans yourself in and all that. And long story short, after about 6 weeks to 2 months or whatever of not talking to Heyman, eventually shook his hand. And on one night, I was like, okay, fuck, I can't afford to keep doing this because my WCW money had finally run out. And he called me back and got me to do a segment with Raven, and it took off from there. But to save time, what I liked about Paul and what I noticed about him was he knew how to do smoke and mirrors. And if you were behind the scenes at ECW and knew what these people were like, particularly, I was there when, even though that was at their height in terms of being on national TV, because they, what was it, TNT Network or something? TNN Network. The roster had depleted from stars considerably, you know. But what he was able to do was hide the deficiencies and accentuate their strengths, you know, which is probably why a lot of that shit was so promo heavy. And if you go back and look at those old shows, a lot of the shows were, matches were joined in progress. You know what I mean? Like, let's leave all this stupid shit that I've told them not to do, but they're going to do anyway to get the crowd pop. He'd just leave that shit out. But he understood production really well and how to cobble together that mulligan stew of you know, the ECW at the end was like the land of misfit toys, if you remember that reference from the Santa Claus
show. Who could forget that?
He was able to create the illusion that you had a bunch of stars, and because of that audience, as long as he presented them in the right way, it would be cool. You know, they would get behind it. And when I got there, I didn't understand, you know, everything I thought I'd learned about being a heel manager, when to cheat, the timing, that shit went straight out the window. Because it was just like when I told you, watching Mae Young years earlier, the referees didn't disqualify anybody. You could just run in, throw chairs.
Never a count out, never a DQ?
Yeah, nothing. Except when Fonzie did the spot as the heel referee by being a babyface referee. But, so I didn't understand any of that. But I grew to learn while I was there what a great fucking motivator he was. And that the first few months, several months I was there, Paul would walk up to me and it'd be time to do a promo, and he'd go, "Devil, here's what you need to do." And he would just reel off some crazy shit off the top of his head. He did it with everybody, and he would leave me alone. And then I would piece that together and branch off with those bullet points that he gave me, sometimes wildly off. But he gave people the freedom to be themselves. And I think my take, I remember discussing this with some of the boys, to motivate people, some people needed to be motivated by money. And the people who really needed to be motivated by money, they'd get that bump in pay. The people who just needed a spot, they got the spot. They might still be making $200 a night, but they got the spot. But he was a great fucking motivator. And people, now I don't know what the fuck went on before I got there. I know what happened when I was there. There's all the talk about all these people who didn't get paid huge sums of money. He paid me really fucking well. I mean, not fucking, he didn't pay me $300,000 a year, but he paid me more money than I made in WCW.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I only had to work 2 days a fucking week.
Wow.
You know, I'd have to do the house show the night before TV and the TV. That was it. And the money was there every week, except, okay, so a lot of people tell these stories about how they were owed weeks and months of checks. I think I was there, you would have to check my timing, maybe a year and a half. Mm-hmm. He missed, I think, 3 checks on me in the entire time I was there. 1 early on, 1 in the middle, and I never got my last check. And then when we
so
were
he still owes you 1.
He owes me 3, I guess.
Right.
But when I was at the last pay-per-view, because everybody was bitching about it, I went to him and I said, "Paul, I didn't get my check." And he's like, "Devil, if you don't want to work tonight, there's no heat. You're more than welcome to go back to the hotel room. It's no heat, no problem." I said, "No, I'll go. I was just kind of wondering, you know." But then, you know, a lot of people, if they're telling the truth, were owed a shitload of money. But the way I look at it is, okay, just like we were talking about, Moolah wanted $3,000. Do you know what the fuck, when you have access to money, what I would pay to have that position?
Yeah.
I look at it, I mean, I never was fucking angry because I was making money. And then I started my side business at that point. So fuck, I had money.
While you were still in ECW?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, towards the end of it. But to me, it was an investment. And, it's a lot of the stuff I did in ECW was kind of like looking back at WCW. It evolved and it got better. And there were some certain things that were good, certain things that are kind of cringeworthy. But, the way I looked at it was I've just been given this huge platform and I'm going to make the best of it. And the other thing I remember thinking was, it was like the whole thing was hardcore and whatnot. I went in the exact motherfucking opposite direction. I became essentially, what was the guy's name on the Flintstones with the little helmet, Kazoo, that popped up, that like broke the fourth wall in the Flintstones? It was like an alien that used to pop up. Like towards the end of the Flintstones, like towards the end of ECW. this fucking thing that had no business being there. That was the absolute antithesis of what they were presenting. Mikey Whipwreck and myself, and eventually Tajiri, did this cornball 1966 Adam West Batman campy bullshit, and it got over. It actually got the fuck over.
Sure did.
And part of the genius in Paul would be going, okay. And I always wondered if he thought he was ribbing the fans. I don't know how much respect he had for the fans. I'm not sure. But he's a brilliant guy. And yes, Paul is full of shit in a lot of ways. But I think one of the things with Paul, why he had so much heat with all the Southern wrestling promoters, is because, like we were talking about earlier, it's all that old school carny shit. And here comes the loudmouth New York Jew who's not going to take any of your shit. You know what I mean? And all the stories about heat that you hear him getting with the old promoters, it's, he just said, fuck you. He stood up to them. But that actually helped him. And just like, the legend is that Stephanie and Vince kind of hate him, they kind of love him.
Yeah, isn't it?
They like somebody
dynamic.
to stand up to him. Yeah. He's a fucking brilliant guy, really. And he should be running his own promotion if somebody could control the checkbook.
Right, exactly.
Let him be the mad scientist in charge.
And isn't it funny, as we transition, wouldn't have he been the perfect guy for the job, but down in TNA as someone that could have maybe taken the reins with the money they had at one point before it went to the shits. You worked for so many different incarnations of that company, between the Jarretts, Dixie Carter, Vince Russo, when he was in charge of the creative. As we only have a couple minutes left, thoughts on some of those individuals?
I loved Jerry Jarrett.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. I mean, I remember just being flattered that he was very, what's the word? He wasn't genuflecting to me, but he was like, I was marked out that he was coming to me for advice on things.
Really?
So I thought that was cool. But given his status in the world, I was very humbled that he thought of me the way he did. Jeff took over after him, or whatever, co-did it with Vince Russo. Jeff is a very solid based, great mind for the business. He's been in it so long. Most of what he did made sense. Vince Russo came in, and here's my take on Vince Russo. And here's where, like, my friend Jim Cornette and myself, on paper, I am completely to the right of Vince Russo, okay? But in retrospect, looking at what he did, I think the thing with Vince Russo is if you know how to get over, you can make his ideas work, if that makes sense. I think what Vince did sometimes is he would give, let's just make Dan the fucking ice cream man who's having a fucking affair with Paul over here. You know what I mean? And you'd have these guys who are the flippy guys, your underneath guys, and they just knew how to do spots. They had no character to begin with, not shitting on anybody because they gave you a job. So you did what you had to do. But he would, if he tasked underneath guys with some of this convoluted drama cinematic stuff, they couldn't do it. And so I could definitely see where you go, oh, that shit sucks. However, he came up with shit like that for The Rock and for Steve Austin, and it worked if you know how to get over. And he gave me the thing, about, I argued with him about the whole thing where I was Abyss's father and all that shit. But what I looked at it fine, and I was like, I can be in a feud with Sting for 6 fucking months. And I get to do this to Sting for 6 months, and I'm on 3 or 4 segments a week. Okay, I can either boo-boo face it on TV, like this fucking bullshit, or I can which I remember doing this every week. I'd walk up to Universal Studios. What are we doing this week? Give it to me. Let's go. And I would just eat it and go, let's make the best of this. And, as much as on paper, that stuff I did is against everything I like about wrestling. Some of the performances he got out of me are some of the best I've ever done, But again, I like to think of myself who knows how to get himself over. If you don't know how to get over, a Vince Russo thing could be a fucking disaster. Right. You have to be able to rise to it or whatever the term may be.
And before we go, Dixie Carter herself.
Dixie Carter, Dixie Carter was a very, very, very nice lady.
I agree.
A Southern belle, and she was so sweet, and she didn't know shit about wrestling. I think her dad gave her the job to get her the fuck off the board of Panda Energy or something, But she was very nice, and as long as Dixie left wrestling to people who understood wrestling, the company prospered. When she started putting herself on the fucking television, that's when it started to plummet. And then it became, let's look at hashtag where's the Dixie Carter doll while people aren't getting paid. You know what I mean? That was her downfall, Dixie was great when she'd go out and do the inspirational speech for 40 seconds at the start of the pay-per-view when somebody did the fucking national anthem. But she had no business being an on-air character, and she fell for the old money mark trick. Oh, I want to keep my job. Things are looking a little shady. Let's write you into it. And then you, because you're the focus of the show now instead of the wrestlers, will greenlight everything, which keeps my paycheck coming. That's my take on what happened. And I was really fucking pissed off at her for years because I eventually found out that the reason I got fired from TNA was because she decided that because people booed me, that I must not be good. Get that. That's a quote from Vince Russo. People are booing you and hissing you instead of chanting your name. You must.
Even as a villain.
Yes, because she didn't understand it. So I was really pissed off at her for a long time. But, it's been years now, so I don't give a fuck. If I saw her, I'd kiss her on the cheek.
Big fan of the X Division, from what I was told.
Probably.
Big fan of the X Division.
Probably.
All right. Sometimes with even more than one X. But that's a different story. Wrestling fans, we're running out of time on this one. For my new friend, the Sinister Minister, James Mitchell, I'm Dan Marati. Hopefully next time we do it, we're going to be up in Boston at the studio. This was great. Look for more great content with this great man on Wrestling Insider Special Edition. Leave your thoughts in the premiere chat box to my right, or if you're not watching during the premiere, in the comment section below. Until we speak again, folks, you and yours be well, stay healthy.
See you in hell.
Wrestling fans around the corner, around the world, I'm Dan Marati.
And this is your boy JTG, aka Jay the God.
Whether you are down the street or anywhere in the Northeast, fans, the day has finally come as we prepare to celebrate 20 years of Boston Wrestling MWF. All-inclusive VIP packages and tickets are on sale for our Back to the 80s WrestleFest 20th anniversary. It is going to be a happening, a VIP exclusive Q&A with the great 80s legends, an autograph and photo fan fest, and professional wrestling so hot it's going to blow the roof off of Memorial Hall. You can get your tickets at Boston Wrestling beginning in 3, 2, 1, go.
Wrestling fans, it's time to rock. WWE legend Marty Jannetty of the Rockers returns for 3 big nights, Wednesday, September the 1st through Friday, September the 3rd. Marty will be taping historical Wrestling Insider episodes, live specials, Insider autograph signings, support wrestling superstars, pre-order autographed 8x10s now over at bostonwrestling.com. This September, get your sunglasses ready. It's time to party with Marty. You never know who or what to expect on Wrestling Insider Special Edition every Wednesday at 10 p.m. after AEW Dynamite. Loved having Jim Mitchell with us. Hope to have him with us again when we have our Wrestle House 2 endeavor in Tampa later in 2021 to continue to document his great career and kickstart our celebration of the Paul Bearer Holiday Headlocks Toy Drive. If you want, folks, more superstars, if you want more legends, more live episodes, more cyber autograph signings, we need your support. We need more support. Another great way is by joining the Familia on what is going to become a revamped Boston Wrestling Patreon, with you being part of the Boston Wrestling Patreon family at patreon.com/Boston Wrestling. You get early ad-free access to our weeknight Wrestling Insider shoot interviews, our acclaimed studio shoot interview DVD library, Patreon exclusive videos, plus the knowledge that you are helping keep wrestling legends working. The first of the month is the worst of the month because that's the day we see how many subscribers have dropped off from the month before. Then we begin the process of building that subscriber base up all over again, which is more hard work. Folks, help the cause. You can find the link to patreon.com/Boston Wrestling. If you can't remember it, in the description box below. Again, we can't produce all these great talk shows without your help. Also, if you missed the news, Thursday night partner in crime, Marty Jannetty, returns to the studio, LIVE Live, Wednesday, September the 1st through Friday, September the 3rd, for 3 big days of tapings and live episodes. I think it goes without saying that this promises to be interesting, but we have some respectful ground rules set in place, and I'm very optimistic that we're going to have 3 great days, as I truly enjoy having Marty with us. I don't just consider him to be a superstar that shows up at the studio. I consider him to be a friend, and I want him to be, as happy and healthy as he can be as he continues to recover from 2 major ankle surgeries in 2021. But speaking of Marty, up next, put the women and children to bed, as it's time for Wrestling Insider's Party with Marty, as his no-holds-barred sex, drugs, and rock and roll look at the 80s and 90s continues. This week, Marty continues to look back at WrestleMania 6 in the WWF in 1990. The Ultimate Warrior is the new world champion, and the lack of strong challengers ready for him. Blackface Roddy Piper, Bad News Brown, and more.
Wrestling fans, happy Thursday to you. Welcome to another installment of Wrestling Insiders Party with Marty. Marty, I am very happy to be here on another Thursday night with you, my friend.
Just to hit it at the very beginning, this one too is recorded, right?
They're all recorded.
No, don't we do one live or no?
We do the live cyber signings when you're in town. Yes.
I thought we did a live Thursday once. No, we didn't, because I've never
You've never been here on a Thursday, okay. I don't think.
But anyway, the only reason I said it is because Happy Father's Day to you.
Happy Father's Day to me.
Yeah, is it today or tomorrow?
As of the day we're taping this, it's tomorrow.
This is today that we're actually here.
No, it's tomorrow.
Oh, it's tomorrow?
But thank you anyway. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right.
It
catches me off guard, folks. We started last week to talk about the big event, WrestleMania 6. We talked about your match with the Orient Express. We talked about Demolition and the Colossal Connection and Andre the Giant's swan song as a regular wrestler in WWF on television. Another big match on the show that has become controversial in 2021 because once WWE Network moved to Peacock, they edited the match off of the show completely. Roddy Piper and Bad News Brown. They battled to, I believe, a double countout on the show. That was the event where Roddy painted himself half black after the Michael Jackson.
Half, right?
He was half black and half white.
Oh, that's right, because he did the promo. He was standing sideways and then turned.
Like Michael Jackson sung Black or White. I don't know if that was the reason why he did it.
I wonder if you, like in today, like that was 90.
Yeah.
I wonder if today's America, that he would get the racist thing because blackface, is it called?
Well, considering they edited it off of WWE Network, I
maybe
would
even
say
back
yes,
then?
that would get a backlash.
Is that what that was? Is that why you think they did that?
Of course.
And you know, I never knew anything about that. What was it? It was called blackface or something?
I think that's what they call it now.
Right, okay. And I didn't know anything about it, so I'm like, what is that all about? I had to go look it up. I had to Google, like, what is this? You know, and then I found out, you know, why it's not a good thing. But
I don't want to get myself in trouble, but I think Piper was trying to do something symbolic in a kind of a good way. That kind of like we're all people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't think he meant anything bad by
I know
it.
he didn't.
It
I know
just-
that.
it-
I was just curious.
It just doesn't play well now, and now that NBC licenses WWE Network here in the United States, they don't want it as part of their platform, which, you know what, when they're paying $200 million a year, I guess they get to call the shot on something like that.
Sometimes, yeah.
But disappointing. It's kind of sad that Roddy's, one of his big WrestleMania matches, no longer exists.
Yeah. Because I think it was a good one from what I remember. You saw it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I thought the promos leading up to it were pretty
they,
good. Yeah.
Oh, he was good. Oh, shoot. He was good with it. Good on the mic.
John will let you know if he can hear you. He's a professional.
But you know, I loved his interviews, you know, his promos. He was, you know, he put time into them too, because you'd see him walking around the hallways and stuff, and you walk right up and say, "Hey, Roddy," and he's, you know, most cordial guy there is. But if he was into his, you know,
the zone,
yeah, he didn't even hear you, and he'd be mouthing. You see his lips moving. So he put time and effort into them. You know, some guys don't even have to. I guess like Flair, that was one of the most impressive things I'd seen. I was only my first year in the business, so, and gosh, you know what?
Don't worry about it. That's something to do with the air conditioning.
Oh, it's going to work? But, you know, when we talked on the last episode about, you know, when you're inexperienced, you know, don't expose it by giving you so much, like a 20-minute match, you know. And the same thing with promos. When either you're inexperienced or you're just not good, don't give them a 3-minute promo. When we first started, me and Tommy Rogers were called the Uptown Boys. And basically it was still a play I didn't know that until later, a play off the Rock and Roll Express, because it was, you know, had the leggings, like silver legging things, and a little tie flag, what do you call it? No tassels yet. But anyway, so we would go do our interviews, and neither one of us, from Tommy or I, was very good. Usually you throw a manager, you know, like give a manager. But gosh, man, they had 1-minute interviews, but they had 2s and 2.5s, and some 3-minute interviews. And man, they keep sticking us with the 2.5. Luckily, there was 2 of us. It's like you take half and I take half.
A little easier, yeah, to split it in half.
And then the announcer, or what do you call him, announcer? Mean Gene. I can't remember who it was there, but they got to be good enough to cover for both of you. So, and you almost want to equally split that. But the point I was going to make out of it was that, oh man, every time we got an interview, we're struggling. Like, I'll say this, you say that, back and forth. And you know, the other guys that were singles, they would get a little flustered when they got the longer ones. And then there was Flair. and then what we did was individuals. You know, you didn't do a promo that would cover, you know, would blanket all the town, a generic, specified. Like, we're in St. Louis, you know, in St. Louis we're doing this, and over there in Topeka we're doing it. You know, so it was long days, you know, and that's all it was promos. I think it was on Wednesdays. But anyway, then Flair, he was in and out because he was NWA World Champion. We stayed right there in the Central States area of the NWA. And when I saw him come in for the first time, you know, of course, I met him once before, but his promos they give him a 3. none to it. Just tell him what city. And one thing, you know, I learned a lot from, you know, how to connect with the fans from him on promos is find out what's going on there locally. And he stuck with it, sports in particular. Like, you know, if we're in St. Louis, how are the Cardinals doing? You know, for Atlanta, how are the Braves or Falcons doing? And then he'd fill in, you know, if he's wanting to be ugly, he goes, oh, I will be probably that night. I'm gonna be like your Falcons or your Braves, whoever. And he'd side with him if he was wanting to be good. And oh, you guys, you Falcons, this guy's just like the Falcons. Y'all fall right in place. You're both scraping the barrel, the bottom of the barrel. You know, he would tie. I guess it more personalized it to that city. And then he could just ramble on, like I'm doing now. But I mean, his made sense. But I was so impressed on that. I had nothing, not even a, you know. He walked with a pep in his step on anything you give him. Hey, we need you. Oh, it's gonna be rough, but we need you and Brody. We need you to do a 3-minute on Brody and Warsaw somewhere. Flair steps right in the mic and ready. The rest of us, they give you a sheet and tell you, or here's your cities and here's your time. Go figure out what you want to say. And if we had a half hour, which you didn't, just when your turn came up. But that Red Bull's working. Can you tell?
Good.
Yeah, I know. I was about getting sleepy there. Anybody want a Red? Oh, that's advertisement again. I keep forgetting. But anyway, Flair. How did this start?
Piper.
Oh yeah, that was another. Yeah. He thought his out though. Mm-hmm. That's how we started. You could see Piper, but they would still be good. You could see like me walking around thinking about the interview and talking about it and going over it in my head, and it still was going to suck. I couldn't talk worth a damn. And I wasn't the only guy like that. There's a lot of them. I believe you run shows and so you're around a lot of the guys. You'll know better than I will. You either got that. That's a gift. You either have it or not. I think you can get better, but I mean, you're not going to be Dusty Rose or Flair like that. That's just a gift. As some people say, the gift of gab, which I have the gift of gab, but it don't mean nothing. There's had a point to it. But Piper, I loved his, and Jake the Snake's he's another one that really don't got to think about it, and it comes out. And
his were always kind of very intense, very quiet.
And that's what I was to say too. He was
different. Most guys would come out and they'd be roaring and ready to go, excited. He was just slow. It was methodical. It'd make you kind of hit the brakes a little bit.
Yeah, and he pulled you right in. And it was fitting of the character.
Like Damien and the assistant from Titan Towers. Pulled it right in.
Yeah, I forgot about that. I don't know. I temporarily forgot about it.
But, I think WWE did itself a disservice with that match, forgetting about what's going on with it now. I think that, if nothing else...
Do you think that's the reason they pulled it, though?
I know it's the reason why they pulled it, because of blackface. Where you were going with a new champion that needed some fresh, hot heel challenges, I think it would have done bad news a world of good to go over clean on Piper and be a top contender for the world title.
Yeah.
But I know Piper wasn't one that enjoyed doing the jobs.
You know what I can't remember when he did. I think he did at the very end, didn't he?
He put over Flair a bunch of times because they were buddy-buddy when Flair came in.
Though.
Not on TV, no.
His thought, his psychological part of that was, I'm not a very big guy here.
Yeah.
And, the minute you beat me, the mystique is over,
I think maybe, you know what, and I think I'm going to be wrong on this, but really the only televised 1, 2, 3 I remember him taking was in his final night as a kind of a quote-unquote full-time regular to Brett at WrestleMania 8 before he vanished in the middle of the steroid and sex scandals.
And you might be. I mean, I thought it was a pay-per-view. As far as televised, him doing a.
Yeah, that was WrestleMania 8.
Oh,
him and Brett,
okay. Yeah, I think that was the first and maybe only.
Yeah,
or maybe
on
he
TV,
did another one later.
But I think it kind of hurt him because if you go back to WrestleMania 1 for the main event, they wanted Piper to take the pinfall from Hogan, and he didn't want to do it. So Orndorff wound up doing the job, and Orndorff went on to become Hogan's biggest drawing opponent ever on the road, a year after the fact. So, maybe it hurt him a little bit that he was so. Maybe it limited what they thought they could do with him.
Yeah, well, I mean, it could. Yeah, kept the.
Could you have seen? Maybe we'll play fantasy booker for a minute. Say Piper goes over on Bad News Brown clean. Could you have seen a Piper heel turn to feud with Ultimate Warrior for the title?
Oh yeah, easy.
That would have been kind of interesting, different.
Yeah, different.
He would, but I don't think he'd want to do the job. That's the only problem when you're trying to make a king. You know what? You have to have. You can't have more than one king.
Right.
And I think Piper, from what I, not that I was a great friend of the man, but from secondhand opinions of people that worked with him, I think that was the general perception. He wanted to be a king as well, but he just wasn't the guy that they chose to go with, whether it be Hogan or Warrior or Macho, or it was just never Piper's time.
Like you said earlier, they're limited on what they can do,
Right.
so the book of finishes is small, and but he had his points. I understood his points. Like, he didn't even like at all like they do. I agree with him somewhat. I mean, everybody will have a different opinion on this, but if you got a pay-per-view match coming up, just pick somebody, Warrior and Piper. Well, why would you give them any part of it, and no matter what the finish or run-in or something, but you gave them part of it. I mean, make them come to the show to see it. In pay-per-view, put your,
That's John C. saluting.
What's up, John? But thought he was getting robbed, man. He had that fist made.
It looked like Ron Simmons in the Nation of Domination for a minute.
Coming out of that dark thing, right? They, I mean, everybody's like, no, he teased him a little bit. I guess I can see both ways. I don't know. What do you think?
As far as Piper goes, or in general?
Or anybody, if they got a pay-per-view coming, why would you give some of it away already? I mean, let them be jawboning at each other, but not have a match, and then with a screw job finish or whatever.
To me, in my opinion, my quote-unquote booking philosophy for my years around wrestling, I think outside of the big angle to make the match hot, you limit and have almost zero physical interaction at all until it comes time for bell time.
Because I mean,
that's just it's always been my opinion.
Well, you look at it this way: if you got
make them want it,
right? And if you got two boxers, you're about to go see, like, who would get? Yeah, this could be good. Well, you wouldn't give them a couple rounds, let them see a couple rounds to build up to it. No, man, keep them apart. Let them jawbone at each other, and maybe on an interview get a hand and pull apart type thing, but not a match. And then somebody runs in, or a screw job finish type thing.
And that's the problem with WWE now. These people, outside of very rare exceptions, I mean, they have physical interactions, if not weekly, sometimes even more than once a week. Why should you go out of your way to go and see the big show?
That's the thing.
If you're going to see...
Yeah, you're getting it for free. Why would we go pay for it?
And people can say now, it's the TV ratings mean just as much as WWE Network. And there is some validity to that. But no matter where the payoff is, whether the payoff is going to be on free TV, the payoff is going to be on a pay-per-view, limit the interaction until you get to the payoff.
I think so too, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Totally agree on that.
That's just
and
how
that's
I've
what
always
Piper's
looked at it.
thought was why he didn't like doing any TV kind of stuff other than interviews with any of his opponents going into a pay-per-view. He was a big about it. And again, but you're telling them what they're trying to book it one way, so here's the book getting smaller. What you can do
that's
with
what
Roddy.
I mean. Piper would do a count out. He'd do a disqualification. But as far as laying down 1, 2, 3, I mean, it was almost like Andre. The jobs were almost non-existent.
Right.
I mean, even when Andre went back on the road after WrestleMania 4, count out, disqualification, they weren't the only. The majority of the jobs that man did in his career were, you were with him working the Rougeaus when he was laying down for the Warrior every night in those 30-second squash matches.
Yeah.
I mean, for a culmination of, my God, he broke in the early 70s, if not the late 60s.
Well,
so,
Andre?
I mean, yeah, Andre. He
I'm
didn't
trying to
do
think
many
the first
jobs.
time I saw him was in Columbus, Georgia. And that was the only reason whoever I went with, was to see Andre. Because, 8 years old, 9 years old. And you see on TV, you hear he's 7'4", and you're looking around like, hey, Dad, I thought I was 6. What are you, 6 foot? So 7'4". And he was, a lot of times they exaggerate.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, in wrestling, there's some exaggerations. But with Andre, they didn't need to go 7'6". 7'4", it's going to be hard to believe. And then when you see him, but just saw him in the Columbus crowd, and it was And one of those things, here's the level of people right here, all the, everybody standing up. And here he is walking through it. He's just way up there tall.
Looked like a tree, yeah.
Yeah, and even as a fan, and even as him being, he was already an icon when he started, basically, a novelty type thing. He still was scared of him. Like we would wait outside the building for the guys, like people do, wait for the wrestlers to leave, try to get the autograph. But except for Andre, you'd wait and just get one more glimpse, but you wouldn't dare, as a kid, you wouldn't walk up to him. I wasn't, I was scared, and whoever I was with was scared. We said, oh, you go, no, you go. But, and also I was gonna say, that was about 69-ish. So, yeah,
so late 60s he must have.
Yeah, he had a hell of
All right. Not many jobs. I mean, they were averaging out to about maybe one a year by the end of his career, but we got the cue from the back, folks. Right now we're going to go to a brief timeout, give you a chance to head on over to patreon.com/Boston Wrestling to enjoy hundreds of these wonderful studio shoot interviews, full screen, no advertisements whatsoever. You get early access and all that good stuff while helping keep wrestling legends working. Patreon.com/Boston Wrestling. We'll be back after this brief timeout. Wrestling fans around the corner, around the world, I'm Dan Marty.
And I'm Mr. USA WWE Hall of Famer Tony Atlas.
The road to WrestleMania has begun. Wrestling fans are looking to add to their man caves. You got to see what we have in the eBay store.
Check it out.
Here's your chance to own a piece of history from the 2020 WWE Draft. On the second night, October the 12th, The Fiend, Bray Wyatt, and Alexa Bliss unleashed hell on Andrade and Zelina Vega. This limited edition 11x14 collector's poster is number 26 of only 50 made, personally signed by both The Fiend and Alexa Bliss, direct from friends at WWE. Comes with certificate of authenticity hologram on the poster itself, suitable for framing. You'll also receive a bonus autographed mystery photo and an on-air shout-out as our thanks to you. Get this ultra-rare autographed Fiend and Alexa Bliss poster now. Boston Wrestling Sports and the MWF explodes into a new year of unknown with professional wrestling content galore, and we need you to join our family. Every Tuesday night at 10 p.m. after we review the previous night's Monday Night Raw, it's Wrestling Insiders at your house with the unpredictable WWE Hall of Famer, Mr. USA, Tony Atlas. Wednesday nights after WWE, NXT, and AEW at 10 p.m., you never know who's going to show up on Wrestling Insiders Special Edition. Every Thursday night at 10 p.m. after our NXT and Dynamite review, it's Marty Jannetty's No Holds Barred Sex, Drugs, and Rock and Roll journey through the 80s and 90s on Wrestling Insiders Party with Marty. Friday nights after the lights go down at the Thunderdome on SmackDown, it's John Cena Sr.'s Wrestling Insiders Fabulous Fridays. Plus, look for classic clips, bonus live episodes, pay-per-view watch-alongs, and more. If you want early, ad-free access to all of our Wrestling Insider talk shows, our acclaimed studio shoot interview DVD library, and to help keep wrestling legends working during the worst of times, for less than a cup of coffee at Starbucks, join our growing family at patreon.com/Boston Wrestling. Expect the unexpected in 2021. Wrestling fans, especially here in the Boston area, we want to thank our great friends at Red Rose for their support for all of our charitable endeavors and programming efforts. Red Rose is 2 years young and extremely thankful for all the support they've had from our neighbors here in Melrose and beyond for an amazing first 2 years. Red Rose thanks Melrose and all of the first responders who have fought the good fight and have never given up hope during these unprecedented times. We did it together. Follow Red Rose on Facebook for their anniversary special, facebook.com/Red Rose Melrose. You'll be glad you did. Open until 2 a.m. Red Rose will give you fresh, piping hot, mouth-watering food that'll put an ear-to-ear smile on even the toughest critic's face. Check out their full menu online at redrosema.com or give them a call, 781-620-1889.
Wrestling fans, welcome back to Wrestling Insiders. We talked a little bit about Roddy Piper, Bad News Brown. It was also the final pay-per-view connection. I think maybe the last time they ever did it together. The pairing of an infamous duo, not in the squared circle, but on the headsets. Gorilla Monsoon and Jesse the Body Ventura. This would be Jesse's final WWF pay-per-view. I always thought he was great with Gorilla. I thought he was great with Vince McMahon, too. But
I loved him and Vince, but Gorilla
you only got Gorilla and Jesse at WrestleMania. I guess maybe because Vince was too busy for commentary that day. I don't know, but your thoughts on the end of those two? Kind of a magical soundtrack.
Did they do more than just WrestleMania, like the regular weekend show?
No.
That was it?
It was Gorilla and Bobby and Vince and Jesse on the weekend shows.
Why I didn't see it.
Yeah.
I mean, because he was doing it, and I didn't see a rerun. Was that, what number was that one? WrestleMania
6.
6.
We're still on 6.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to see it because
together they did 1, 3, 4, 5, and 6. WrestleMania 2.
You did every one.
They did. Well, no, WrestleMania 2 is in 3 locations, so they split them up that year.
Yeah, that was how did that go?
Well, because Crockett did Starrcade in 2 locations. They wanted to top it, and they did it in 3. And I don't think they sold out any of the arenas, which was kind of sad. Yeah. And it was on a Monday, which really made no sense.
That's probably why, yeah.
It didn't help. Can you imagine going to a closed circuit event on a Monday night? I don't know. But anyway, we'll talk about WrestleMania 2 some other time. Your memories of Jesse and Gorilla. I know you thought they were a pretty good combination together.
Yeah, I mean, Jesse, well, Gorilla's pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, so, I mean, anytime you put 2 characters that can go with the flow, it's going to be good, but that's not necessarily true because, you know, Macho was, man, he was like the best in the world at keeping you laughing if he wanted to, you know, in the dressing room or wherever.
Yeah.
And Bobby Heenan he keeps you laughing.
Oh, yeah.
So when they went out together, we're thinking, oh my God, how great this is going to be. It just didn't click, you know, it just somehow, and that was a mystery, but I guess, you know, there's chemistry or there's not. You would guess those 2 together would, you know, you'd be on Arsenio Hall every night laughing with them. But,
yeah, I mean, I think their commentary was, because it was different than what you'd get on the regular TV shows, I think it made WrestleMania, those first few, even more interesting because it was a different combination, different points of view,
and Jesse
different
was so
style.
Good, man.
Yeah.
You know, he brought up points. What made it so good to it for me and a lot of the boys was he would needle say the best was when he was with McMahon, but I assume it was the same way with Gorilla because that was sort of his character. His character was to rib on you, to needle you with stuff, and with Vince he could come up with things the boys are not really happy about, but he ain't going to say it. You know, he go bother Jesse, he can say it, you know, thing, and you get with Vince, you know, we're watching his reactions because it's how we really feel, you know, and he knew that. Vince was smart, you know, he knew that. He tried to dance around it, and it was fun watching him dance. We loved when Jesse put him on the square. But I'm sure I saw, you know, a few of Gorilla and him. And Gorilla seemed like another way to adapt to any style, you know.
And you know, I think they also did, not that it was nationally televised, but when they would tape the Boston Garden House shows, it was always a rotating cast of commentators. But I believe Jesse and Gorilla did some Boston house shows. But as far as the mainstream national shows went, you know, that was WrestleMania. That was their day together. And
which
disappointing because I think it kind of changed the soundtrack to WrestleMania going forward.
I guess the reason, you know, if you're on the show, you don't get to see the commentary unless you watch it.
Oh, sure, yeah, unless
later.
you go out of your way to watch it on tape or something later on.
or you know, besides your own match, because you're definitely going to watch your own match, but you know, because that's what you're going to learn from your mistakes or whatever. But,
let me ask you this: was there ever a commentator you enjoyed more than others doing your matches, that put you over better than anyone else?
Well, the funny guys were always heels, you know, so they weren't going to compliment us. I mean, even Piper as a baby face, he still had some heel in him. It was like you're not sure which way he's going with it.
And that's what made him interesting, I think.
Yeah. I loved Bobby Heenan's commentary. I loved Jesse's commentary. Gorilla, and he was going to babyface for you. So yeah, give him, you know, let him have ours. But I don't know, those were my favorite. Vince was, I hate to say it this way, but Vince was a good punching puppet. Yeah, I mean, because he was going to get abused by whoever he did it. Well, even Kurt Hennig used to abuse him. Kurt did for a little while.
Yeah.
And the funniest things that Kurt would come up with was, you know, I remember one thing what he said, that's just downright, just Vince talking. That's just, there's something wrong with that. That's just downright weird. And Kurt said, well, you'd be the expert on being weird.
You know what, now that I think of it,
Yeah, you saw
they
that
may have done, no, I'm thinking of Gorilla and Jesse. They may have done a Survivor Series, too.
Oh, okay.
But they were never the regular weekly TV guys together.
Like you
so
said,
I thought they were a really good combination for whatever pay-per-views they did.
Yeah, like you said, it makes sense to mix it up a little bit, spice it up. Not necessarily spice it up, but mix it up.
Did you have a chance to interact with any of the celebrities at WrestleMania 6? Steve Allen?
At 6?
Not Rene Goulet, Robert Goulet?
No, but I got to wave at...
Rona Barrett interviewed Miss Elizabeth.
Well, no, Mary Tyler Moore, what was her name?
Oh, yeah, I think she was in the crowd just as a fan.
Yeah, for ringside, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, no, she had come, they brought her back to say hello or whatever.
But, I mean, I don't think she was booked as a celebrity guest.
Yeah, she was a fan. She was actually a big-time fan. And as
let me ask you this, though. Did you get more of Mary Tyler Moore?
No, but it was good enough to see her because she had gotten older. But as a kid, I always thought she was
like
so...
Jane Fonda, though.
I was wrestling in Denver with Sean. We had sold out the place. Orders a Hank Williams Jr. song. We started the show out in Denver, Colorado. I made the first, but I did not make the second show. Cause I met a girl there that brought about quite a big change. But I OD'd in Denver, and I just can't remember.
So you didn't have any mature thoughts about Mary Tyler Moore at WrestleMania?
They were very immature.
They were very mature, really?
Immature.
Oh, immature. Well, you could go the same way.
But it was cool, like, because I was a kid, 10 years old, when she was popular with the Mary Tyler Moore show.
Yeah.
Who was that, Rona Barrett? Wasn't that her sidekick on it, or no?
You're talking way before my time. Rona Barrett, I think, was just kind of an interviewer, and she interviewed Miss Elizabeth.
Oh, okay, yeah, somebody else. But it was cool seeing. Let me see, WrestleMania 5. Because all the WrestleManias you're going to meet, the celebrity thing. Besides Donald Trump, I think there was
Rum DMC was at WrestleMania 5.
And who else? It was
Morton Downey Jr.
Saw him, didn't really meet him, but seen him walk around backstage. Him and is that the one where him and Roddy did the thing? And Roddy was funny as hell, man. He was like pestering him. He was pestering. I guess more Downey thought that he had it. I know what to do. I'll have a talk show. And Piper said, "You don't have one like this." Downey was kind of thinking he was going to come in there and bully around because he was popular. No, not with Roddy or not.
Do you think that celebrities like that helped enhance the show? I mean, you think Robert Goulet really added anything to it, or Steve Allen? Or Steve Allen, I think, played the piano with the Bolsheviks.
What did Steve Allen? What does he do?
He was at 6.
Huh?
He was at 6. I think he played the piano with the Bolsheviks.
But what did he do for, what was he?
In the world of entertainment?
He's not the one with the...
I don't even know. I know he was involved with that.
Who had that Fix It Up show? It was like a sitcom. It was...
Tim Allen?
Tim Allen,
yeah.
Okay. Oh, so that's the different... We're talking about... Okay.
Well, this is Steve Allen.
Yeah, Steve.
So these celebrities meant nothing to you.
No, some of them did, and some I didn't.
Well, the ones at WrestleMania 6, at least.
Yeah, 6 was Mary Tyler and
Robert Goulet singing the Canadian national anthem.
That was that's right. I forgot about that.
Well, they wouldn't sing the American one, but they were in Toronto.
I don't know. Was it Sheik tried to get Terry Taylor to start chanting USA?
I remember that.
I stretch you. If you don't, Terry, I stretch you. Sheik, I can't chant USA. Why can't you? We're in Canada.
Oh, Sheiky, baby. And then on to the main event, the big one, the Ultimate Warrior and Hulk Hogan. In your opinion, was it the right time to pass the torch to the Warrior?
It worked, I guess.
How do you say it worked?
No, it didn't work.
Well, look at how business tanked. Look at how your paychecks went down.
Yeah, but that's when everybody started scooting, wasn't it?
Scooting? What do you mean?
Well, leaving.
That wasn't until 92.
Where are we at now? 90?
We're in 90.
Damn, we take a long...
We do.
We take 3 years for 1 year.
Well,
We're very in-depth, if nothing else, in this life.
And we're staying on point. Remember,
Sometimes, sometimes it's interesting to have little anecdotes, and little side.
I just don't understand how because we were hitting all the, I guess we were hitting all the major, points we want to get.
But you thought going with Warrior was the right call?
At that time, you mean?
Yeah.
If not, then when?
Hulk was going off to do a movie.
Right. And that's
then
what
you had leaving Mania, you had A Towns with Warrior and B Towns with Dusty, and the C Towns were eliminated by the fall.
Yeah, they
Attendance
did.
plummeted so bad. So it was a rough period of time for the company, and that was before the scandals even hit. I mean, they were.
That's what.
90 was kind of a lackluster year as far as the.
I thought it fell off just shortly after that.
But in all fairness to the Warrior, let's try and call a spade a spade. I think WWF did a very poor job in trying to have people ready for him. I mean, who was his first challenger coming out of WrestleMania 6?
Rick Rude, probably.
Rick Rude. And who did he work with the year before at WrestleMania 5 and SummerSlam 89?
Who was his?
Rick Rude.
Was it?
Yes. So why would you? I know Rude was one of the few guys that could get a good match out of him. But why would you go right back to Rude the next year?
He had to rough him up, remember?
Yeah, right. I mean, just look at some of the finishes that came at WrestleMania 5. I took the time to actually write it down.
I don't doubt it. You got so many hours in this place.
Well, no, you had Mr. Perfect was undefeated on television at least, even though he did dozens and dozens and dozens of jobs on house shows. Why would you have him job to Beefcake at WrestleMania 6?
Who did?
Mr. Perfect. When you're going to have a new world champion babyface coming out of WrestleMania. You had Bad News Brown. He went to a double countout with Piper. Why wouldn't you have him go over clean? I believe Jake went over on DiBiase. Why wouldn't you have DiBiase hot coming out of WrestleMania?
Needed somebody, huh?
I believe Dusty and Sapphire went over on Randy Savage and Sherry. Why wouldn't you have Macho coming out of WrestleMania hot? Instead, you had Rude. I think the Barbarian went over on Tito Santana. And I mean, could you imagine Warrior Barbarian main events? I mean, you look back at it on paper and you look at some of those finishes, and while maybe for the moment they might have felt good, you really weren't doing a good job getting anybody ready for Warrior. I mean, I'm trying to think of Hakeem and the Boss Man was on the show. I know Boss Man went over on Hakeem.
What would you guess being the reason? What I was going to ask first was who was booking then? Patterson?
I think that was the Vincent Patterson time. Yeah, Scott was long gone at that point.
Oh yeah, he was gone before I got there, I think.
Oh, so he was really long gone. John C. with the big 2, baby. So we know where we are here in this show. But I mean, I honestly could not think of a worse job they could have done building it up. They had
put him with a genius.
Earthquake went over on Hercules, but Earthquake was just in a program with the Warrior before WrestleMania, so they weren't going to backtrack and go back to that again.
Wait, I forgot about it. Wow, I got to go back to the video.
So, but I mean, you look at that roster. You look at that roster and the guys they could have had work with Warrior, and they all did jobs at WrestleMania. To me, it made no sense.
Yeah, it don't make sense now.
You would think, to me, as we're sitting here talking, I would think you'd have the majority of the show, the heels would go over, just so you have some hot opponents for him to work with. Instead, you had reruns of Rick Rude from the year before. Then Rude was hitting the injury bug, and you were getting house shows.
Yeah, getting him from working with
the A-team, you had for the main events, it was Warrior and Haku and Bobby Heenan in handicap matches. You talk about a live attendance failing. And then on the B-team, you had Savage and Dusty never really clicked like he did in the NWA and WWF. So it was
Who
just
didn't?
Dusty.
Oh yeah. It was some rough stuff. First of all, they put him in that suit that he called the monkey suit with the polka dots. Did he do anything after that? That was it, right?
He only had 2 feuds in WWF, really. He did a big program with Savage and a big program with... 3. Boss Man, Savage, DiBiase. And then he went back to book for WCW.
Yeah.
But I mean, he never caught on. He really, to me, he really wasn't a main event guy in WWF.
Dusty.
And because Hogan was off doing movies, they needed him out on the loop. Piper really wasn't doing house shows at that point in '90. He was doing the commentary on Superstars with Vince after Jesse Ventura left. So it was a tough time. And like we said, we'll get into it more as 1990 goes along, but the C team was eliminated altogether. Right now, fans, we got the cue from the back. We're going to take a brief time out. Check out the link to the eBay store in the description box below. We got merchandise from guys from WrestleMania 6 to WrestleMania 36. We'll be back after this brief time out.
The World Wrestling Federation was live at King's Dominion Amusement Park in Doswell, Virginia, Thursday, August the 5th, 1999. In the opening contest, Steve Blackman beat Al Snow. Test victorious over Midian. Hardcore Holly defeated Gangrel. WWF Intercontinental and European Champion D'Lo Brown retained the titles over Jeff Jarrett. Mankind with the win over WWF Hardcore Champion The Big Boss Man in a non-title match. The Godfather and Val Venus beat Prince Albert in draws. WWF Women's Champion Ivory retained the title over Tori. WWF Tag Team Champions The Acolytes retained the titles over the Hardy Boys and Edge and Christian. And in the main event, Kane defeated The Big Show via disqualification. If you were in Doswell live, share your memories in the comment section below. Use the links in the description box to keep Wrestling Legends working in our eBay store and on our world-renowned Patreon streaming service so we can bring you more interactive superstar shoot interviews to relive the good old days of professional wrestling. Check it out. Boston wrestling sports in the MWF explodes into a new year with professional wrestling content galore and need you to join our family. Every Tuesday night at 10 p.m. after our Monday Night Raw review, it's Wrestling Insiders at your house with WWE Hall of Famer Mr. USA Tony Atlas. Wednesday nights at 10 p.m. after NXT and AEW, join rotating legends on Wrestling Insiders Special Edition. Every Thursday night at 10 p.m. after our NXT and Dynamite review, it's Marty Jannetty's no-holds-barred sex, drugs, and rock and roll journey on Wrestling Insiders Party with Marty. Friday night after SmackDown, don't miss John Cena Sr.'s Wrestling Insiders Fabulous Fridays. Plus, look for classic clips, history videos, bonus live episodes, pay-per-view watch-alongs, and more. For less than a cup of coffee at Starbucks, get early ad-free access to our Wrestling Insider talk shows, our acclaimed studio shoot interview DVD library, and help keep wrestling legends working during the worst of times.
Wrestling fans around the corner, around the world, I'm Dan Marati.
And I'm Mr. USA WWE Hall of Famer Tony Atlas.
The road to WrestleMania has begun. Wrestling fans are looking to add to their man caves. You got to see what we have in the eBay store.
Check it out.
Arguably the greatest professional wrestler of all time. Get this limited edition collector's autograph print personally signed by two-time WWE Hall of Famer Nature Boy Ric Flair, inscribed 16 times for each of his recognized World Championship reigns. One of only 50 made direct from our friends at WWE. Also signed by original artist Rob Schamberger. Help keep wrestling legends working. Get this awesome Ric Flair collectible for your wrestling collection now.
Cheer. Why, hello. I would ask what was on your mind, but I already know. You want to know what has got my beard looking oh so majestic. And I'll tell you, it's sexy as hell beard care. Coconut oil, vitamin E oil, almond oil, both sweet and bitter, shea butter, it's all natural. Yes, JTG has actually come out with a high quality product. So support your boy by going to sahbeardcare.com and take one step closer to becoming sexy as hell. Cheer. Ooh, cheer. You know?
All right, wrestling fans, welcome back. Let me ask you this, Marty. Do you think there was a change in the Ultimate Warrior once he got the title? Bret Hart in his book said the Warrior turned into even more of a prima donna. Did you get that sense out of Warrior?
It was hard to become more of one because he started.
He was already there.
I don't want, you know, two things about him though. He's not here no longer, and secondly, I did like him, so it's hard to talk too much negative on him. But yeah, he was. You talk about somebody hard to deal. Now, from a booking standpoint, somebody hard to deal with. Gosh, I would have much rather had to deal with Piper's limited, thing than Warrior's, because Warrior was overprotective, and I think where the prima donna part would come in was, and he was a very intelligent man. He was a doctor, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm. He's a chiropractor, yeah.
Are they considered doctors?
They are called doctors, so
yeah,
I would guess,
so.
in some way, shape, or form.
So, and he was intelligent, not so much street smart, but he was definitely intelligent. And he was very, very protective. It was funny, they protected him at the beginning before they ever put him on TV. Had him only doing dark, matches
for a long time. Yeah, just doing house shows.
Adjusting. We're gonna get this thing over. Go out there and work on it. Take that off. Add this. Try that. For like over a year maybe. And then once they started going with him, then he took over. Like, nah, I can't do that. That won't be good for him. I can't be a damn warrior if I'm playing with kittens, or whatever that, whatever it might be. And there's going into an area here I kind of want to avoid because.
Well, it's part of the story.
Well, A&E comes up with this.
What, she wanted to become the ultimate ass eater?
The show out in Denver, Colorado.
Would she run down the hallway at the Hilton like the Warrior and knock on the door?
Do no more of that cocaine.
Start banging on her chest before she ate ass?
She made me higher than.
But no, how is she involved with the Warrior?
What's that?
How was she involved with the Warrior?
No, I was afraid that what you were just saying. Oh, because she wasn't that I know of. But I think, and we talked to somebody on a podcast today that said that there was the backstage politicians, meaning like Sean had special things he could.
Oh, I see. So Warrior had close relations in the office.
There was a rumor. It wasn't me, was it? No, and but Madison Square Garden. We talked about it with Oscar. By the way, y'all say hi to Oscar next time you see him.
Every Monday night at 11 after Raw. Don't miss the Monday Night Mission. It's always an interesting take.
Is that what you call it, the Monday Night Mission? That's okay. That's close to bomb. Anyway, the word in the street was somebody came into the dressing room. They left something there at the show at Madison Square Garden afterwards. And he was the main event, so he's going to be the last one out. I think now he could have been on earlier, but hanging out for another reason. And what was
a bar of soap, I believe.
Yeah. Pat Patterson evidently had dropped a bar of soap in there and probably went back to get it.
Pat would need to shower
at that point. Somebody else told it like this. But what they saw was that Pat was in the shower area that was kind of closed. Like you got the door where anybody could peek in. Big open shower. And I looked, but Pat was on his knees checking Warrior's knees, making sure they were okay. So I could see where that would come off as it might have appeared like something else. And
I could see someone taking that the wrong way. Yeah.
If you go and check a man's knees, you might not want to do it in the shower while he's naked.
But you know what? I'll call a spade a spade. You know what?
Go ahead.
All the stories that we've heard from guys that have come in and out of this studio, was there likely some kind of physical connection with some of the people involved in making decisions in WWE and Ultimate Warrior? Absolutely. Well, I would say that it would be a very educated assumption. But at the same time, do you think, even without the sexual part involved, do you think he still could have climbed that mountain and been the guy?
Warrior?
Yeah. I mean, for all his limitations in the ring, he had the perfect look for what they wanted to push the kids.
That
you know what I mean?
That alone could have, and that's pretty much what happened. That Warrior character, I guess I don't know what you'd say about his promos. As Jericho said, Chris Jericho said they were nonsensical at best.
but to little kids, it was kind of fascinating, like he was from outer space or something like that.
Yeah, and he did. I mean, you might want to have to rewind it and listen to it about 5 or 6. Okay, now that makes sense, sort of. Because he was very intelligent. I mean, I don't know if he just came off the top of the dome you know, with them, or if he thought about them, you know, give me the damn thing, let me work on it tonight. You know, put time into them. But
we were told by one of the guests we had in the studio that I don't know if I'm going to guess it was a TV shoot that some of the guys walked in on the Warrior cuddling with Shane McMahon.
With Shane?
Yeah, cuddling.
That's not the one Big O told us today, is it?
No.
No, that was an old.
No, this was from years ago.
Because he didn't name anybody.
No. You got to remember, he was only there for a couple of years. His run wasn't as long as some of our other guests. But did you ever hear about that?
And
Shane
years,
O'Mac cuddling up with the Warrior.
No, that's news to me.
Well, from what I understand, Shane had kind of an interesting college life. When they weren't able to have relations with females, they found other ways to relieve their stress in life.
Supposedly, that was the fad. That was a fad college. Everybody else said, not our college.
I never heard of that.
I mean,
I never heard of that college, I guess.
That was back in 90. Shit, he was young. He was 21. I don't know how old he is now, but I'm guessing because he used to love to ride with, or not ride with, but go, you know, afterwards, after the shows, hang around with Sean and I, because, you know, it was going to be a party, and there would be women around, and you know, so he, until his mother forbid him to be around us anymore. Forbid, the right word would be forbade. Is forbade a word?
I think it'd be forbidden.
Forbidden, if you forbid him.
I think it was forbidden.
If you're forbidden, well, that'd have to be with the
And you thought about having
form of being involved.
When you thought about having rough sex with Linda McMahon afterwards.
By the way,
revenge.
I want to apologize for a couple of the episodes. I don't know what the hell.
Do you want to apologize to yourself for having those thoughts?
I don't think I had the thoughts. I think words were just running out of my mouth.
Well, no, you said, and I remember it almost pretty much word for word, you said you were bullshit and insulted that she called you the hired help.
Well, that's what she said to
right.
Shane, yeah.
And, you know, I guess the next time you were alone and feeling a little frisky, doing your thing, you had some kind of rough thoughts about the woman as you went about your business.
A real bunch of pain, because I was during probably half. It's been 7 months since the first surgery, maybe seven and a half. And
you were a couple of weeks off of the first one, I think, when you came in. And you were still moving pretty good, but you were in a ridiculous amount of pain.
Yeah.
A ridiculous amount of pain.
And that pain medication, I've always found that, you know, a couple beers, what they tell you don't have alcohol with pretty much any medication.
So there's a reason.
Yeah, because it makes it stronger, which I mean, I have a high tolerance to everything. And so, you know, to make my medicine, they're not going, you can't take 30 in 3 days and expect to go back and get a refill.
But I think we figured out what the problem was. We had the guest that came that day from out in Western Massachusetts. And I don't know if it was gummy bears that he had, or I think you mixing that, I think that
yeah, he gave me
I think
something.
maybe that's what, between having a beverage and the medication that your doctor gave you, plus what he had, I think maybe that's what caused it. Because it was only on that last day when those episodes were kind of rough.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That whole day, yeah, because that was
And that was the day that he came with those, were they gummy bears? Or I don't remember what, there was some kind of candy.
Oh, yeah, that was the weed stuff in the candy or
so
something.
I think between all three of those things at the same time, I think that's what...
Somebody gave me a pain, it was pain. And
I don't even know. And you mentioned that too, and I'm still kind of confused. And I forgot to ask you about that off the air.
You got so many people come through here. They're not here for like Matt Daddy. They're not here very long.
Well, Matt Daddy left on his own. I don't know.
What did you say?
I don't know. He didn't want to cuddle with the Nasty Boys, I guess. But that's a different story for a different time.
Oh yeah, that went rough, huh?
Do you want to apologize to yourself for having those thoughts about Linda?
Yeah, I didn't have them thoughts. The words just come out.
You just created it. Of anything you could come up with in your imagination in any way, shape, or form.
That's how much you don't want to mix medicines.
You decided to share with the world
you decided to lie to the world that you pleased yourself to Linda McMahon.
Oh, damn.
That's what it was.
No, even with the shit just falling down my face, crap just falling out of my mouth, no, I would have caught that going to the ground.
No, it is on video. You said it. And that is all. Talk about perfect timing. Marty Jannetty gets out of it. As we continue, a very interesting look at the World Wrestling Federation in 1990. Again, folks, there's so many different ways you can help us grow these crazy talk shows. Whether you love the history, whether you love the chemistry, whether you love the humor, there's something for everybody here in the world of Boston Wrestling MWF, especially Saturday night, November the 13th, when we go back to the 80s at WrestleFest at Memorial Hall in downtown Melrose, Massachusetts. A plethora of legends from the 80s are going to join us, along with the superstars and legends of yesterday, today, and tomorrow, competing in the squared circle. More information and ticket info can be found on bostonwrestling.com. If you could give us a big-time thumbs up, let YouTube know you like what we're doing, subscribe to the channel. It's absolutely free. If you're watching the Thursday night premiere and you're chatting away with us, having fun in the premiere box, don't forget the super chat button is open. It'll help us bring Marty back to the studio live even sooner than we're already planning to. And of course, share the link across social media. Let more fans see what it is that we do. The more fans that are interacting with us, the more great content we can bring to you. Of course, we've mentioned now the eBay store is open for business. The link can be found in the description box below. And the main event of all plugs, if you don't want to just be a fan, if you don't want to be just a friend, if you want to be able to come down to the studio live, because we're going to be limiting it in the beginning to the Patreon folk, head on over to Patreon, patreon.com/Boston Wrestling. So many great perks, Patreon exclusive videos, early ad-free access to these Wrestling Insider programs with no scrolling ads. You get the whole screen, just the show itself, which with me may scare you a little bit. I apologize. I look this way, not just in the morning, but all day long. You get the studio shoot interview DVD library that's been seen by millions online and millions around the world on the Howard Stern Show, thanks to the Sheik, and you help keep the wrestling legends working. For Mr. Marty Jannetty, I am still Dan Marotti. We will see you next Thursday night for another installment of Wrestling Insider's Party with Marty. And don't forget, tomorrow night, after the lights go down on SmackDown, John Cena Sr.'s piece is just lighting up, baby. And he's going to say his piece on Wrestling Insider's Fabulous Fridays. You and yours be well. Stay healthy. Good night. Wrestling fans around the corner, around the world, I'm Dan Marotti.
And this is your boy JTG, a.k.a. Jay the God.
Whether you are down the street or anywhere in the Northeast, fans, the day has finally come as we prepare to celebrate 20 years of Boston Wrestling MWF. All-inclusive VIP packages and tickets are on sale for our Back to the 80s WrestleFest 20th anniversary. It is going to be a VIP exclusive Q&A with the great 80s legends, an autograph and photo fan fest, and professional wrestling so hot it's going to blow the roof off of Memorial Hall. You can get your tickets at Boston Wrestling beginning in 3, 2, 1, go.
Wrestling fans, especially here in the Boston area, we want to thank our great friends at Red Rose for their support for all of our charitable endeavors and programming efforts. Red Rose is 2 years young and extremely thankful for all the support they've had from our neighbors here in Melrose and beyond for an amazing first 2 years. Red Rose thanks Melrose and all of the first responders who have fought the good fight and have never given up hope during these unprecedented times. We did it together. Follow Red Rose on Facebook for their anniversary special, facebook.com/Red Rose Melrose. You'll be glad you did. Open until 2 a.m. Red Rose will give you fresh, piping hot, mouth-watering food that'll put an ear-to-ear smile on even the toughest critic's face. Check out their full menu online at redrosema.com or give them a call, 781-620-1889. Marty's back every Thursday night at 10 p.m. after Impact Wrestling. Don't miss an episode. Again, folks, mark your calendars as Marty returns to MWF Studios for 3 big nights of tapings, live episodes, cyber autograph signings, September the 1st through the 3rd. There continues to be this misconception that we either cut ties with Marty, that Marty left the show, that we told Marty we didn't want him to come back. I don't know if it has anything to do with those imbeciles in New York, but none of that is true. None of that. It was never true. For a day. 110% untrue. Fake news, as someone would say. That we did have an incident in June, but Marty is our friend. And you have to keep in mind that this man is in extreme pain overcoming 2 reconstructive ankle surgeries this year. So we're trying to come up with, just almost like a football coach, the best game plan possible to give you guys the best content possible. As I've said before to you guys, as I've said to Marty privately, I don't want Marty to be on the show in 2021. I want Marty to be on the show in 2031. I want this to be a long-term commitment, a long-term partnership, and we want you guys along for the ride. So have no fear. There are no plans for Marty to leave us unless there's something going on that I don't know about. As mentioned earlier in the show, this week's Week in Review is a little shorter than usual, as John Cena Sr. is off with Majo Ouellette. We wanted to do a podcast-style episode for you, but he couldn't get a signal on the remote island he's on, getting a little French love from Majo. Little French love. So, last week we presented an MWF Extra episode, preparing for our 20th anniversary blockbuster. Yesterday, JTG of Crime Time and myself kicked off ticket sales to our November 13th Back to the 80s Wrestle Fest event in Johnny's absence, which aired earlier tonight. But the good news is he's going to be back in studio this week, and we'll have more Johnny C coming Friday night. Speaking of our 20th anniversary bash, again, folks, what more could you ask for? We're lining up these 80s superstars one after another. It is heartbreaking that we lost Animal and Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff from our original April 2020 lineup. It's even sadder what Tony Atlas personally has chose to do, but it is what it is. Again, you can meet Jake the Snake Roberts, Axe and Smash Demolition, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, Marty Jannetty, and more to be announced. We have a 6th featured guest. We're going to announce SummerSlam Saturday, and then the tickets, unfortunately, the prices have to go up to their regular prices, folks. We got to pay the bills. It is not cheap to have all of these superstars with us live. Not only appearance fees, but airfare, hotel, the rent of the venue, the rent of the ring, the insurance policy, the police details, the advertising, the printing. It goes on and on and on and on and on and on. My God, I'm going to cry. I'm going to need Dr. Reese for a professional session. I'm going to become so depressed. There's so much that goes into this. But we are looking forward to it a great deal. The tickets sales have been promising. The VIPs are flying. Fans, if you want to be a VIP at this event, I can't suggest it strong enough that you get on over to BostonWrestling.com, get your tickets. Now, we want you to save a few bucks if we can. You know what I mean? We can't give you a discount all the way through November, but we can do it for a little while as our thanks to you, because truly, for 20 years of doing this, of Boston Wrestling, the Millennium Wrestling Federation, we love you guys and have never lost track of the fact that if we didn't have wrestling fans, we wouldn't have these events, we wouldn't have these talk shows. But at the same time, we do need your help. Again, we don't just consider you to be fans, we consider you to be friends, to be part of the extended family, or if you're on Patreon, the family. So again, let's blow the roof off of Memorial Hall November the 13th. If I do that little podcast I hinted at earlier, I may give you guys some inside scoops on Patreon. But we'll get there. Again, mark the date. If you can't commit to it yet, just put it on your calendar so you don't forget. We want you to be with us if you're there in the Northeast. And again, if Back to the 80s is a success, in early 2022, we're going to have Back to the 90s. What more could you really ask for? Keeping wrestling legends working is a great passion of ours fans, again, which is why we implore you to join us over at patreon.com/Boston Wrestling, the Boston Wrestling Patreon family. Again, I've used the example before. When Marty is here, we have to do 3 days worth of tapings, which is very difficult for both Marty and for myself. I'm in a lot of physical pain too with my dilapidated body, but unfortunately, it is the only financially feasible way to do it. If we had more people involved with Patreon, with the super chats, more eBay sales, again, those Patreon subscriptions mean so much when you stick with us. All of those things add up. And if, again, I've noted, and I always use Marty as an example because we have him with us so often, but imagine if we could have Marty in once a month. The quality of the programs would probably be even better than they are right now. We'd be more relaxed, more at ease. We'd probably get more done in that 1 day of taping. And then Marty gets to go home. I get to edit. And then we do it all over again the next month instead of 3 very long days of tapings because the airline, the airfare, I should say, is so expensive. So again, that's just another reason why you should join us over on patreon.com/Boston Wrestling. Don't forget that part. If you go to patreon.com, God only knows what you find. I don't know. But again, I'm even trying to think of, and maybe I'm thinking out loud, but trying to set up a little area for you guys for November the 13th. I don't know how I'd be able to do it because I know some of you have already bought tickets, but if there is a way to have you guys be able to sit together if you want to, I don't know. I'll think about it. Or if you guys have any input, let me know. Because if you guys would like to sit together during the live event, I think that would be pretty cool. I don't know. One man's opinion. But again, help keep the Wrestling Legends working. Along with Patreon, there's so many ways you can help us for free right here on YouTube. I keep using Hacksaw Jim Duggan because he's going to be with us November 13th. But give us a Jim Duggan-sized thumbs up. That would help an awful lot. It lets YouTube know you enjoy what you're seeing. Subscribe to the channel. It's free. It also gives you alerts to our premieres along with access to over 2,000 free videos on this crazy channel. What else? Share the links across social media. You got Facebook, you got Twitter, you got Instagram, you got Reddit, you got Facebook wrestling groups. Share it with all of them. There's so many fans that don't know us yet, but once they do, we're going to have a blast and we're going to keep growing and growing and growing and growing and growing and growing. It's going to be like talk show Viagra. It's going to be wonderful, but we need your guys' help to do it. And again, like any high-quality human being, if you had fun tonight, don't forget to tip the bartender using that amazing Super Chat button here on YouTube, the little gray $ symbol under the premiere box. We have a big week ahead with some great shows coming your way, and we need your help to make it happen. If everybody helps a little, it goes a long way. As I've said before, how did I calculate it? If everybody that watched an episode in 1 month donated 10 cents, we'd cover our expenses for the year. Think about that. If for every show you watched, you donated 10 cents just for 1 month, all of our expenses would be covered for the whole year. Wouldn't that be cool? Dear Lord, it's almost frustrating, but I don't even want to have my mind go in that direction. But one direction I would like you to go in is to our eBay store. It is open 24/7 with great rare items from superstars of every era. Every purchase not only helps keep Wrestling Legends working, but it gets you an on-air shout-out from one of our legends for helping support the team. The link to our Boston Wrestling eBay store can be found in the description box below. Again, folks, I've said it before, I'll say it again. It feels like that last segment on the old NBC Saturday Night's Main Event when Jesse and Vince are getting ready to wrap things up. You hear, "Take me home." We don't want to take it home. I wish I could hang out all night and talk with you guys, but Wrestling Insider's Week in Review is a lengthy program. I've been trying to come up with more ways, maybe to do more watch-alongs live, to be able to interact with you guys as a person as opposed to typing in a little box. I don't know. That's one thing we may see more of as summer winds down and the fall begins. I think it would certainly help hype up back to the 80s, November the 13th at Memorial Hall in Melrose. Again, we certainly hope you can join us on that date. For all the information on the event, again, bostonwrestling.com. Just click on Back to the 80s. It'll give you all the info that you need. I know we're going to do great things with this channel, with this talk shows, with these live events, because you guys are just great people. I really do enjoy engaging with you. For those that sometimes have run into issues with blocking and so on and so forth, a lot of that is YouTube. It's not a human being doing it. So please keep that in mind. Sometimes it takes certain phrases, things written in caps. It takes it the wrong way, and it puts you in timeout. Or I'm not sure how the process goes, to be honest. But I know in the entire time I have been on doing moderating during our live premieres, there's only been one person I've ever blocked. So keep that in mind, folks. Until we speak again, enjoy these summer weekends. There aren't too many of them. We're going to be back tomorrow night with the former Boston Wrestling MWF Heavyweight Champion Tiger Mulligan. Maybe my favorite talk show of the week I do. I feel like I can just kick back and relax when I talk wrestling with Tiger. He's been such a great friend over the years. We're going to move his premiere to 10 p.m. to see if that helps you guys be able to tune in more easily as opposed to the time it was at before. Again, we're trying to go with 10 o'clock across the board, other than Monday with Raw. We will go at 11 for Oscar, and the Weekend Review show, which we have to start early just because it is so long. We hope you will join us. With that said, my friends, we send you friendship and love from the great city of Boston. Good night. The World Wrestling Federation was live in Fall River, Massachusetts, Friday, August the 7th, 1981. In the opening contest, Johnny Rodz beat Angelo Gomez. Roberto Soto victorious over Baron Mikel Cicluna via disqualification. George the Animal Steele defeated Steve King. WWF Intercontinental Champion Don Morocco retained the title over WWF Tag Team Champion Rick Martel via countout. And in the main event, Pedro Morales beat Angelo Mosca via disqualification. If you were in Fall River Live, share your memories in the comment section below. Use the links in the description box to keep Wrestling Legends working in our eBay store and on our world-renowned Patreon streaming service so we can bring you more interactive superstar shoot interviews to relive the good old days of professional wrestling. Check it out. Boston wrestling sports in the MWF explodes into a new year with professional wrestling content galore and need you to join our family. Every Tuesday night at 10 p.m. after our Monday Night Raw review, it's Wrestling Insiders at your house with WWE Hall of Famer Mr. USA Tony Atlas. Wednesday nights at 10 p.m. after NXT and AEW, join rotating legends on Wrestling Insiders Special Edition. Every Thursday night at 10 p.m. after our NXT and Dynamite review, it's Marty Jannetty's no-holds-barred sex, drugs, and rock and roll journey on Wrestling Insiders Party with Marty. Friday night after SmackDown, don't miss John Cena Sr.'s Wrestling Insiders Fabulous Fridays. Plus, look for classic clips, history videos, bonus live episodes, pay-per-view watch-alongs, and more. For less than a cup of coffee at Starbucks, get early ad-free access to our Wrestling Insider talk shows, our acclaimed studio shoot interview DVD library, and help keep Wrestling Legends working during the worst of times